Chapter 1946. Su Fong controlled the silver-streaked sword and flew towards the bottom of the trial peak. 686,686,686 read 6 books, is not equal to Okan Su's divine sect. Members in the spectators' space immediately went into an uproar. Young Master Mo Fenghua is mighty. Young Master can even easily suppress Bai Shen. He will definitely be able to fight his way into the top 100 and become that Kimiko Hoshino. Once young Master Mo appears, even Bai Holan and Song Jie will have to concede defeat. Koan Su's divine sect disciples cheered in excitement. That idiot Mo Fenghua actually defeated Bai Shen so easily? Bai Shen is a peerless genius ranked 17th. How is this possible? Everyone in the spectators' platform was in an uproar. Those who were mocking and ridiculing Su Fong were all speechless. Their faces burned as if they had been slapped by Su Fong. Borrowing the power of prehistoric inflammation, how can he be considered a genius? Mo Fenghua is cheating. He should be disqualified from the Godchild competition. Prehistoric inflammation won't help Mo Fenghua become Kimiko Hoshino. He won't even be able to enter the trial peak. Now that Mo Fenghua has taken out his trump card, prehistoric inflammation, let's see how he'll compete with the other geniuses. In the space above the trial peak, some of the big shots of the Star Below God realm were whispering. Bai Shen was a genius of the Star Below God realm and was highly valued by the higher-up. Now that Su Fong had cut off their chance to compete with the Son of God, these upper echelons were naturally furious and questioned Su Fong. Of course, they were just talking about it. Prehistoric inflammation was also a part of Su Fong's strength. Just like treasures and divine abilities, which of these geniuses participating in the Godchild competition didn't have powerful methods? When the 3 divine kings heard everyone's words, they sneered in their hearts. Senior Mo is unfathomable. How could he only have prehistoric inflammation? They will give you more surprises in a while. Divine light rolled around Su Fong's body. Zhu Yanjun said, "This kid is interesting. I wonder what kind of godhead he has to be able to control so many of them, and all of them are so extraordinary." Qishao Shinjun said, "Not only is he interesting, but he might also make the heavenly monarch's eyes light up." From Qishao Shinjuan's tone, Zhu Yanjun heard something unusual. She suddenly showed an interested look and couldn't help but look at Su Fong a few more times. At the bottom of the trial peak, in order to compete for the 1,000 spots to enter the trial portal, a chaotic battle was taking place. At this moment they had no fellow disciples, no friends, and no family in the hearts of many geniuses. Everything he saw before him was an enemy who was competing with him for the creation. Almost everyone fell into a frenzy, including Bai Holan, Song Jie, and the other top-ranked peerless geniuses. As long as they approached the entrance to the trial peak, they would all become the targets of the geniuses' attacks. For a short period of time, no one would be able to enter the portal. Everyone had the same thought as they killed their way through the portal and into the trial peak. Some geniuses who knew that they had no chance were thinking, "If I can't enter, then no one else can." In the fierce and cruel battle, there were geniuses who were heavily injured and had to withdraw from the battle. There were even some who died on the spot. I, Huang Zhong, will be the first to enter the trial peak. I will definitely become Kimiko Hoshino, ha ha ha. Just as everyone was fighting, a genius actually hid from the senses of countless people and quietly arrived at the entrance to the trial peak. He was so excited that he shouted loudly. It turned out that this genius named Huang Zhong had a very special divine robe that concealed his body and aura. He actually took advantage of the chaos and was the first to enter the portal. Everyone wanted to stop him, but it was too late. They could only watch as Huang Zhong laughed arrogantly and flashed into the portal. Suddenly, roar! A ferocious and evil roar came out from the portal, followed by Huang Zhong's miserable shriek. After that, there was no more sound from him. Instead, there was an evil and strange laughter that kept coming out from the portal. Many geniuses felt their hair stand on end as they trembled. The chaotic scene instantly quieted down. The Starwave Realm Lord's majestic voice sounded, "Don't think that everything will be fine after entering the trial peak. When God Princes compete, not only do you have to compete with others, but you also have to compete with the heavens. If you aren't careful, you will lose your life." Whoosh! Just as the Starwave Realm Lord warned the geniuses, a silvery beam of light shot out from the crowd. It was as fast as lightning. While the geniuses were still pondering over the Starwave Realm Lord's warning, they had already arrived at a gate. Su Fong. It turned out that Su Fong took advantage of the moment when everyone was distracted to control the silver-streaked sword. At the same time, he also activated the Wing's divine artifact and seized this opportunity to successfully step into the portal. Mo Fenghua. Mo Fenghua is actually the first to enter the trial peak. So what if she is the first? She is just going to die like Huang Zhong. Everyone discussed animatedly as they mocked and ridiculed Su Fong. I didn't think that 2 ants would be the first to enter. Looks like I have no choice but to use a portion of my strength. Seeing Huang Zhong and Su Fong enter the portal one after another, although their fates were the same and they couldn't escape death, Bai Holan's eyebrows still furrowed. In the next moment, a vast and terrifying divine aura exploded from Bai Holan's body and swept out in all directions, sending the surrounding geniuses hundreds of meters away. Bai Holan seemed as if he was taking a leisurely stroll, and he carried a strong confidence of being able to roam freely as he walked towards the door in an unhurried manner. Countless attacks swept over from behind him, yet all of them were obstructed by his divine might, and in the end, he walked through a door in a composed manner. The peerless demeanor of one of the top 10 young masters of the star field was fully displayed at this moment. I originally wanted to save some energy, but now I can't even hide anymore. Song Jie leaped into the air and charged towards the portal. Whoosh! Whoosh! One genius after another charged towards Song Jie. Many geniuses were still somewhat afraid of Bai Holan. After all, Bai Holan was the #1 genius of the Star Billow Divine Realm. But to Song Jie, a genius from another divine realm, they weren't so polite and unleashed a storm of attacks. Song Jie suddenly turned around and opened his mouth. A devouring power covered the area in front of him, and the tide-like attacks immediately collapsed and turned into the most primitive state of chaos. The black Xian Guang that Song Jie spat out turned into a destructive divine aura that exploded outward. Boom! An area of 3,000 meters was completely cleared by Song Jie's terrifying attack. More than 300 geniuses were immediately turned into ashes by the destructive divine aura. Song Jie sneered disdainfully and calmly stepped into the portal under the gazes of awe and fear. Whoosh! 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 As Bai Holan and Song Jie entered the portal, the geniuses once again went crazy and swarmed towards the portal. A great battle once again took place below the trial peak. After Su Fong entered the portal, his body was immediately sucked into a cave by a spatial divine aura. A sinister voice sounded, "Finally, one has come. It's been a long time since I tasted the flesh of a deity. This time, it's a genius among deities. The taste should be pretty good." He looked over. The cave was completely dark. Su Fong could only barely see the situation inside with the help of the Great Perfection Realm's ability. The one who spoke was a tall and sturdy man. His upper body was Qi Wen Yuo and his lower body was dragging a long snake tail. His entire body was emitting a dense demonic aura. His eyes emitted a cold bloody light as he looked at Su Fong like he was sizing up a prey that had fallen into a trap. His eyes were filled with greed and ruthlessness. It turned out that he was a demon god. His cultivation was about the same as a peak 9th heaven heavenly god. Hiss! Cold light flashed in the demon snake's eyes. It turned into a cluster of black flying needles and shot towards Su Fong like a storm. Su Fong activated the Earthshaker treasured boots and released a shockwave that shattered the black flying needles. Swoosh! The burly man's body twisted, his figure shooting out at an unbelievable speed, instantly arriving in front of Su Fong. A foul stench hit him head-on, making Su Fong nearly faint. Su Fong deployed the power of his great perfection realm fleshly body and collided together with the demon's snake, causing a shockwave that shook the cave until it shook violently. The demon snake's body was flipped over. However, his snake tail swept over very strangely, sending Su Fong flying out, crashing into the cave's rocks. It was unknown how many bones in his divine body shattered. A human actually has such powerful fleshly body strength. Truly inconceivable. However, what demon gods are most adept at is the fleshly body. Competing in fleshly body strength with me, you're purely courting death. Be obedient and let me suck your blood energy dry, lest you suffer. The demon snake's mouth spat out a blood-red tongue, licking the corner of his mouth. He was very smug and arrogant. Crack, crack. After Su Fong formed a seal, the bones and flesh in his body rapidly collapsed, and then instantly reformed into an intact body. Are you a human or a demon? How can you have such powerful fleshly body strength? The demon snake's eyes revealed a look of disbelief. Thank you for your reminder. Why would I need to use my fleshly body strength against a big goblin like you? Then I'll just directly use my magic treasures and divine abilities to kill you. Su Fong suddenly laughed. The silver kite sword shot out, and then he used his movement divine ability, Earth Ripple Step, instantly arriving in front of the demon snake. The heaven-earth seal on his right hand was activated, and a fist blasted out. An aura that could freeze and suppress everything crushed over. Pop, pop. The demon snake lasted for a dozen breaths of time before it was left with dozens of wounds on its body by Su Fong's silver kite sword. Blood splattered everywhere. Not only that, its body was covered in frost, and countless bones in its body were shattered by Su Fong's heaven-earth seal. The demon snake was still very fierce, and it roared angrily, "Damned human, this is too unfair. If you have the guts, compete with me in fleshly body strength." Su Fong laughed and said, "You're mistaken. This is not a competition, but a battle to the death where you kill me and I kill you. No matter what method I use, it's fine as long as I can kill you. Besides, why would I need fairness to deal with a big goblin like you? You want to kill me? It's not that easy." Chapter 1947. The cave suddenly became narrow. Yen female sign 8 yen female sign 8 yen female sign reading yen female sign books. 2 yen 30 Su Fong lost the space to use his movement technique and was restricted. The snake demon also knew that it was time to go all out, so it used its body to block Su Fong's attack. Ignoring its injuries, it coiled up its body and forced Su Fong to within 1 zhang of it. "Human, become my food." The snake demon raised its head and laughed wantonly. It opened its bloody mouth and bit down on Su Fong's head. "It's better for you to become my nutrients." Su Fong suddenly laughed. A reincarnation divine might exploded from his body and covered the entire cave. Chi, 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 chi. The snake demon's blood spurted out like a fountain. Thick blood chi rapidly surged toward Su Fong. The snake demon was already seriously injured. After losing so much blood, its aura instantly withered. Its monstrous demonic fire and demonic aura also withered. Its huge demonic body slumped to the ground. You can actually devour the blood chi of a demon. You're not a human, but a demon." The snake demon cried out in horror and despair. Chi. The silver flash sword turned into a silver light and shot into the snake demon's mouth, then flew out from the back of its head. This incomparably powerful snake demon could no longer hold on and fell to the ground. Su Fong unceremoniously stored the snake demon's corpse in his inner world and sealed it. This snake demon's strength was not ordinary. Its blood chi, demonic core, and spiritual pearl were all excellent cultivation materials for Su Fang and his subordinate. A space divine might envelop Su Fang and teleported him out. When Su Fang reappeared, he was in a desert. This time, his opponents were more than a dozen earth element demon gods. In this way, Su Fang fought with the big goblin again and again. Not only did the number of opponents increase, but their strength also increased. In the end, even demon gods equivalent to the divine emperor realm appeared. Su Fang had the power of pure yang, and was not afraid of the big goblin's demon chi. He also had the ability to devour the blood chi of big goblins, and could constantly replenish his energy. Coupled with his powerful ability to control Dharma treasures, although the journey was extremely difficult, he finally persevered. At the same time, he also obtained countless big goblin corpses. Outside the trial peak, after a round of fighting, the 1,000 people entered the trial peak through the portal, then the portal was closed. The remaining geniuses also lost the qualifications to continue participating. Although each and every one of them was unwilling, they were still very helplessly transported away by the array formation. Everyone's attention was focused on the trial peak. From the stands, one couldn't see what was going on inside the trial peak. They could only see the phantoms of the geniuses. From the phantoms' auras, they could barely tell who they were and how high they were on the trial peak. The reason for this arrangement was actually to protect these geniuses. Which genius did not have a hidden trump card? If they were exposed in front of everyone and were used by someone with ulterior motives, it would be extremely detrimental to their future growth. The one who progressed the fastest in the trial peak was not Bai Holan or Song Jie, but Su Fang. This was just the beginning of the competition. Although Bai Holan and Song Jie were powerful, they had to conserve their strength as much as possible in order to deal with the crueler tests later. Su Fang did not need to do so. He could directly devour the big goblin's life essence to replenish his blood chi. As for his divine essence, he could use the divine essence diluted by the creation saint pill to instantly recover. Therefore, although Su Fang was not as strong as Bai Holan and Song Jie, he had no scruples. How could his speed in the trial peak not be fast? The big goblins were silent. Even the upper echelons and disciples of Kuan Su's divine sect were silent. Their eyes flashed with shock and surprise. It was simply too unexpected. No matter how extraordinary Mo Fenghua was, it was impossible for her to be so terrifying. In the space above the trial peak, the big shots of the star below God realm were all speechless. Su Fang had displayed such astonishing strength. Bai Shen's provocation could only be said to be Bai Shen's own death. What is this child's background? How did he manage to grasp such a variety of techniques? Zhu Yanjun frowned. The situation in the trial peak naturally could not escape the eyes of experts like Zhu Yanjun and Qishao Shinjun. Su Fang's various techniques were not only extraordinary, but also illogical. No matter how high a god's divine spark was, it was impossible for it to contain so many great daos and allow a god to possess so many divine abilities and techniques. It was truly inconceivable that so many abilities were concentrated in a single person. Qishao Shinjun slowly explained Su Fang's background to Zhu Yanjun. Kuan Su's divine realm is only a small realm. Where did Mo Fenghua's divine abilities and techniques come from? Zhu Yanjun shook her head and said, "Every powerful divine ability and technique required fortune and opportunity. How lucky could a heavenly god be to obtain so much fortune and opportunity?" Qishao Shinjun secretly sent a sound transmission to Zhu Yanjun. "Heavenly monarch, it's best if you don't investigate this child's background. Behind him stands a great figure who surpasses you and me. Can't you see that the pill he swallowed was the legendary creation saint pill?" Zhu Yanjun's eyes flickered. "Are you talking about infinite life? Infinite life is the peerless genius who entered the Chaos Golden ranking in the Star Below God realm?" "Most likely. Zhu Yanjun shook her head and said, I'm afraid that infinite life has misjudged this time. Although this child is somewhat famous, the great Tao he cultivates is so impure. How can he reach the peak of the great Tao in the future? Zhu Yanjun was not optimistic about Su Fang. It was not without reason. After all, a cultivator's energy was limited. There were thousands of great Taos, and those who could cultivate one to the extreme were already peerless figures. Su Fang had mastered so many divine abilities and techniques, but he was not proficient in them. In the end, it would be difficult for him to become a great person. Let's see how this child performs later. As for what will happen next, it's not something you and I can worry about. Qishao Shinjun smiled embarrassedly. Su Fang was like a hot knife through butter in the trial peak. He passed through one trial after another and killed one powerful Yao god after another. The number of Yao gods he killed was so great that he had lost count. Su Fang condensed the blood energy of these Yao gods into blood crystals in his inner world and gave them to Qingyu, the sunflower water mermaid, the fire lizard, and the undead monarch to cultivate. After so many years, Su Fang had provided them with all kinds of cultivation resources. The big goblin under his command had all advanced by leaps and bounds. The sunflower water mermaid, like the fire lizard, had long reached the level of a divine emperor. Qingyu's progress was even faster, reaching the level of a celestial god. Unlike humans, Yao gods did not need to comprehend any great Tao. They only needed to constantly devour blood energy to strengthen their big goblin bodies. Although their progress was not as fast as human cultivators, they did not encounter any fatal shackles or bottleneck. Su Fang did not know how many big goblins he had killed before he finally came to a cave. This time, he finally met a strong opponent. A divine dragon. This was a genuine divine dragon. Although he had taken the form of an old man, Su Fang's great perfection ability could sense the divine and vast draconic qi on him, as well as the supreme majesty that could intimidate all beasts. Moreover, the old man that the divine dragon had taken the form of seemed old and frail, but his body contained boundless blood energy and draconic qi. His strength was almost at the level of a human cultivator at the peak of the fourth heaven divine emperor realm. However, this divine dragon's body was shackled by a powerful seal. It was obvious that his strength had been suppressed. This was not strange. The purpose of the Godchild tournament was to select geniuses, not to send them to their deaths. If this divine dragon was not sealed, the geniuses who participated in the Godchild tournament, other than top geniuses like Bai Holan and Song Jie who had luckily passed, would only be sent to their death. A celestial god. The star billow divine realm is so weak that a seventh heaven celestial god actually made it to the finals of the Godchild tournament. I didn't expect the star billow divine realm to be so weak. The old man raised his white eyebrows, revealing a look of disdain. Then, the old man sensed Su Fang's aura and was puzzled. Draconic qi? Your aura contains the unique aura of the Dragon Clan, and it's from the Great World. Are you a cultivator who ascended from the Great World and cultivated the supreme cultivation method of the Dragon Clan? You talk a lot of nonsense. Su Fang did not expect to be seen through by the old man. His identity as an ascender from the lower realm might be exposed, and he did not know how much trouble it would bring. Su Fang could not help but be furious. He activated the silver Krite sword and shot it at the old man. Qi. The old man waved his hand and hit the silver light formed by the silver Krite sword. The sharp sword Qi did not leave a trace of injury on his hand. The silver Krite sword was directly sent flying by the old man, and the Xian Guang collapsed. A peak mid-grade divine artifact was unable to pose any threat to him. Moreover, the old man formed by the divine dragon did not even use his draconic qi, nor did he use any of the Dragon Clan's innate abilities. He only used his physical body to send the silver Krite sword flying. Among the four great divine beast ancient clans, the divine Dragon Clan was the most powerful and mysterious. Not only did they have a powerful divine body, but they also had many divine abilities and forbidden technique. Su Fong finally witnessed the power of the divine dragon body with his own eyes today. Lowly existence, although more than half of my strength has been sealed and I can only use the power of my divine body, I can still easily suppress you. Give up your futile resistance. If I kill you, I will gain thousands of years of freedom. As soon as the old man's arrogant voice fell, his body swayed, leaving behind an afterimage. With a series of explosions in the air, he appeared in front of Su Fong in an instant. His speed was no different from teleportation. Boom! Su Fong felt a terrifying aura oppressing him, causing the blood in his body to churn violently. Then, the old man punched Su Fong in the chest with a terrifying aura that could shatter heaven and earth. Su Fong's body was broken into two halves with a loud bang. Su Fong's powerful divine body, which had reached the divine emperor realm, was actually so weak in front of the old man formed by the divine dragon. "Aunt, you can't even withstand a single blow." The old man shook his head disdainfully. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Su Fong's upper body suddenly broke into pieces, turning into blood that quickly spread on the ground and wrapped around the broken lower body. Chapter 1948. The experts of the Divine Dragon Clan are so terrifying. And this is when their strength is sealed. If they unleash their full strength, they can easily kill me. Su Fong was shocked. Although he had used the power of the yellow spring blood sea to reform his body, it did not mean that he was not injured. This time, nearly half of Su Fong's blood chi was consumed. His injuries were serious. "If you are so powerful, why are you shackled here?" Su Fong asked. In fact, he was devouring the blood crystal and fusing with the majestic life essence in the blood crystal. At the same time, he was activating the Black Lotus True Body and the Dragon Subduing True Body to quickly recover his divine body. In Koan Su's divine sect, Su Fong absorbed a breath of life from infinite life, and the Dragon Subduing True Body and the Black Lotus True Body transformed. In addition to the life essence extracted from the demon god's divine body, Su Fong's recovery ability became extremely shocking. In just a few breaths, he had recovered nearly 10% of his consumed blood chi. "I didn't expect a human like you to have such a powerful physical ability." The old man was very surprised, and the disdainful look on his face disappeared without a trace. Then, he sensed the change in Su Fong's blood chi and immediately understood Su Fong's intention. "You also have such amazing recovery ability. No wonder you can enter the trial peak with your divine realm cultivation. You don't have to deliberately stall for time. I'll wait for you to recover to your peak state and see what other tricks you have." About the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Su Fong finally recovered to his peak state. "Low-level existence, use all your strength, or you won't have a chance to use it in the future." The old man attacked like a bolt of lightning. Yellow Spring Reincarnation Technique. After Su Fong formed a seal, a reincarnation divine might quickly lingered around his body. The old man rushed into the range of the reincarnation divine might and immediately fell into a reincarnation vortex. His blood chi seeped out uncontrollably. After a collision, the old man's attack was absorbed by Su Fong, and then gathered in his fist and burst out from his right fist. Boom! The old man was shaken and took 3 steps back. Su Fong took a dozen steps back. His right fist was badly mangled, and all the bones in his right arm were shattered. Ka ka ka! Su Fong's right arm surged with blood and chi, quickly recovering to its original state. Although he had suffered some minor injuries in this collision, he had managed to devour a wisp of the old man's life force with the help of the divine power of reincarnation. The life force of the divine dragon in the form of an old man contained an incomparably pure dragon chi. After the dragon subduing true body fused with this trace of dragon chi, the dragon subduing true body immediately transformed in a frenzy, extending and growing towards the depths of the great perfection physical body. So, he is a cultivator from the evil Tao. He is actually capable of devouring his opponent's life force. You lowly existence, you have angered me! The old man roared in a low voice. His eyes were filled with ferocity as he attacked Su Fong fiercely. Underworld Samsara Sword. Su Fong no longer faced the old man head-on. Instead, he activated the Underworld Samsara Sword. The Reincarnation Sword has finally become a supreme divine artifact, and the day has come when it can fight against the divine dragon. The sword spirit of the Reincarnation Sword was extremely excited. He released the Reincarnation Sword essence. The divine power of reincarnation, which was more than 10 times stronger than before, countered the old man's attack. At the same time, it devoured a large amount of the old man's blood and qi. Although the old man's life force was as vast as the sea, under Su Fong's frenzied devouring, his life force gradually weakened. After Su Fong devoured the life force that contained the dragon qi, the flame of life in his body burned crazily. The divine power of the wood element of the dragon subduing true body rose steadily, covering every corner of his body. Su Fong nurtured his battle with battle. He patiently and slowly consumed the old man's life force. The old man in the form of the divine dragon had an extremely strong physical body and terrifying physical strength that could kill a third heaven of the divine emperor realm expert. However, he was unable to do anything to the old man. About 2 hours later, the old man's face turned pale. His life force seemed to wither, and his speed and strength had obviously weakened. You despicable, shameless, evil cultivator! Fight me face to face if you have the guts. The old man gnashed his teeth in anger. In the beginning, he didn't take Su Fong seriously at all. He even intended to let Su Fong recover his strength, so that he could kill Su Fong like a cat toying with a mouse. But who would have thought that Su Fong would use such a strange method to consume his life force bit by bit? If this continued, he would definitely be exhausted to death by Su Fong. In the next moment, the old man's life force began to change. Majestic dragon qi surged out of his body, temporarily suppressing the seal that shackled his strength. His body also rapidly changed. The upper half of his body turned into the shape of a dragon. A domineering and powerful aura swept out. It was 3 to 4 times more terrifying than before. The star below God realm has shackled me for so many years. It wasn't easy for me to secretly recover a small part of my strength. I originally wanted to find a chance to escape, but a low-level existence like you forced me to reveal my hidden strength. I'm going to tear you to pieces and then devour you. The old man in his half-dragon form had demonic flames burning in his eyes. He was domineering, mighty, and violent. Human brat, slowly enjoy the taste of death. The old man's arms shook as dragon qi surged. His dragon claws tore through the air and swept toward Su Fong. Pooh! 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 Su Fong's reincarnation divine might was shattered by the claw marks. His body was also torn into several bone-deep wounds that dripped with blood. The Star Billow Realm Lord noticed this, and his expression changed instantly. This divine dragon is so cunning. He actually hid his strength. Mo Fenghua is in danger. Qishao Shenjun raised his eyebrows. Just as he was about to save her, Zhu Yanjun said indifferently, "What's a little accident in a cultivator's life? If you can't even deal with this little accident, what right do you have to compete with the heavens?" The Star Billow Realm Lord and Qishao Shenjun had no choice but to sit down again. Brat, I'm shackled in the Star Billow God Realm's cage. I'll die sooner or later. I'll kill a few more human geniuses before I die. At least I'll earn back some of my capital. The old man laughed maniacally. With an aura that could crush everything, he jumped and charged toward Su Fong. Unfortunately, your wish has become a dying wish. Su Fong sneered domineeringly. His gigantified Vajra body burst out in his innate state. With the help of the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda's divine might, Su Fang added the power of the big goblin Qin Yu, the sunflower water mermaid, and the dozen or so experts he had subdued in the Sui Yu cave into his body. After that, Su Fang used the gigantified Vajra body. However, his entire body didn't transform. Instead, his right arm rapidly expanded until it was 3 feet long. He used his innate divine might and the gigantified Vajra body to clash with the half-dragon old man. Boom! The gigantified right arm was shattered. His bones shattered and blood splattered everywhere. The half-dragon old man was also sent flying by Su Fang's domineering and ferocious punch. His dragon claws were shattered. Although his tough dragon scales had blocked most of Su Fang's power, his bones and internal organs were still shaken violently. A single punch had heavily injured a divine dragon. Although this divine dragon's strength was sealed, Su Fang also didn't use the full power of the gigantified Vajra body. From this, one could see how powerful the gigantified Vajra body was. Impossible. A human can't have such power. You borrowed the power of others. You're cheating. The old man was shocked and roared in anger. You're just an imprisoned slave. Why are you worrying about such things? Let's end this. Su Fang took a big step forward and threw out dozens of punches consecutively. The incomparably powerful divine dragon was also being ravaged by Su Fang in a frenzy. Screech! The silver-streaked sword pierced through the half-dragon old man's head. A powerful divine dragon fell just like that. This scene. Qishao Shinjun and Zhu Yanjun, who were in the Dharma treasure space above the trial peak, were shocked. Zhu Yanjun sent a message to Qishao Shinjun. Mo Fenghua must have borrowed the power of an expert in her natal artifact. This is indeed cheating. How should we deal with this? Qishao Shinjun thought for a moment and replied, the natal artifact is also a part of one's strength. Moreover, Mo Fenghua didn't release the expert in her body. She used the natal artifact to integrate the expert's power into her body. Therefore, it's not against the rules. Zhu Yanjun's eyes were filled with doubt. The main reason was that Su Fang's gigantified Vajra body was mysterious and powerful. Even she couldn't see through its depth. From the beginning of the battle until now, Su Fang had used many powerful supernatural powers. This made Zhu Yanjun feel that Su Fang was more mysterious. However, Su Fang was related to infinite life and Mo Tiangong. It seemed to be a matter of course. Zhu Yanjun didn't dare to make any wild guesses. A true divine dragon's body is full of treasures. Su Fang looked at the divine dragon's corpse with sparkling eyes. He unceremoniously stored the divine dragon's corpse into the world inside his body. At this time, the divine might of a formation enveloped his body and teleported him out. Su Fang appeared on a vast platform. When he looked carefully, he realized that he was on the mountainside of the trial peak. When the billions of gods saw Su Fang appear on the platform outside the trial peak, the spectator stands went silent for a moment. Then, a burst of exclamations rose and gathered into a wave, exploding and reverberating in the spectators' stands. The higher-ups of the Star Billow God Realm, other than the Star Billow Realm Lord, couldn't see the situation inside the trial peak. When they saw that the first person to appear was Su Fang, they were surprised and shocked. Oh, the first person to come out wasn't Bai Holan? Mo Fenghua passed the first test of the trial peak. How could she be faster than Bai Holan and Song Jie? What's the use of being faster? There's still a long way to go. In addition to being shocked, everyone was doubtful. The higher-ups of the Star Billow God Realm even suspected that Su Fang had cheated. Otherwise, how could he have passed Bai Holan and Song Jie? The higher-ups and disciples of the Kuan Su Divine sect once again burst into thunderous cheers. Chapter 1949. Participant Mo Fenghua, congratulations on obtaining a chance for yourself from the hands of the demon race and successfully passing the first stage of the trial peak. Next, you can choose to continue challenging the stage, or you can choose to stay here and rest. You will have 10 years of rest. A cold and stiff voice sounded on the platform. The trial peak was actually a divine artifact, and the one who spoke was the trial peak's artifact spirit. The divine sun competition is not only a competition with humans, but also with the demon race. The opponent I will face next will definitely be the demon race or a resurrected expert. I will fight for a chance to survive from their hands and soar into the sky. Su Fang was pondering about the purpose of the divine sun competition. Just as he was thinking about whether he should continue to challenge the next stage, his divine light suddenly changed. Immediately after, a burst of tribulation chi burst out from Su Fang's body. It turned out that after killing the demon gods, he continuously devoured the energy essence in their inner cores. Especially the last divine dragon that he killed, Su Fang swallowed a large amount of blood chi and dragon chi when he fought with it. Unknowingly, he actually broke through the peak limit of the 7th firmament celestial god realm and was about to advance to the 8th firmament celestial god realm. Su Fang was surprised and delighted. He immediately created a formation on the platform and then sat down cross-legged in the formation. Just as he sat down, a burst of tribulation chi and tribulation fire burned, engulfing Su Fang. Then, a large amount of impurities overflowed layer by layer and turned into ashes in the tribulation fire. At the same time, Su Fang activated the 9 yang divine fire and merged with the tribulation fire in the form of a fire cloud, burning crazily in his body. Su Fang's entire person was like a burning fire cloud, looking incomparably shocking. Advanced Mo Fenghua advanced so quickly. He actually advanced in the divine sun competition? What a terrifying divine might of flames! Isn't Mo Fenghua's divinity of earth? Why does he have such a terrifying divine might of flames? In the spectator's space, a wave of exclamations was set off again. Zhu Yanjun, Qi Shao Shinjun, the Starbelow Realm Lord, and other experts also revealed a look of surprise. The Starbelow Realm Lord exclaimed, Mo Fenghua borrowed the fortune of the universe disk to quickly advance from the 2nd firmament to the 7th firmament. How many years has it been? To think that he has advanced once again. Unbelievable, truly unbelievable. And prehistoric inflammation. How could it bestow such an amazing flame power to a god? It's unbelievable. Qi Shao Shinjuan's eyes were filled with shock. Zhu Yanjun's eyes shone brightly. Not only is it prehistoric inflammation, Mo Fenghua should have grasped a supreme fire-type divine ability. Could it be that he has fused with a fire-type divine spark? Or was it prehistoric inflammation that changed his divinity? This kid is getting more and more unfathomable. After burning for dozens of days, Su Fang's aura was no longer at the 7th level, but at the 8th level. 8th firmament celestial deity. Su Fang felt an emptiness within his body. He quickly swallowed the spirit liquid diluted by the good fortune saint pill to supplement the consumption caused by his advancement. At another corner of the platform, a spatial distortion suddenly appeared, and a figure appeared. It was Bai Holan. After the fierce battle in the first round, Bai Holan's expression was still calm. He was indeed worthy of being one of the top 10 young masters of the star field. However, his complexion was slightly pale, and his hair was a little messy. Obviously, Bai Holan, a peerless genius of the top 10 young masters of the star field, didn't have it easy in the first round. Before Bai Holan could recover from the discomfort caused by the spatial teleportation, another figure was teleported onto the platform. It was Song Jie, who was only one step away from Bai Holan. Song Jie, you are indeed extraordinary. You are qualified to be this young master's opponent. Bai Holan raised his eyebrows and said to Song Jie indifferently. His tone carried an unparalleled arrogance. Song Jie looked to be in an even more sorry state than Bai Holan, but his ferocious nature didn't decrease in the slightest as he grinned, revealing his white teeth. In this god-child competition, Only you have the qualifications to become the target of my challenge. Before he could finish his words, Song Jie and Bai Holan both sensed something strange and subconsciously looked in another direction. The divine light in their eyes changed instantly, and soon after, a look of disbelief appeared in their eyes. There was another figure on the platform. Mo Fenghua. He had actually taken a step ahead of Bai Holan and Song Jie and completed the first round of the trial peak. What made these two peerless geniuses extremely shocked was that Su Fang had obviously just advanced. The first reaction of these two peerless geniuses was that they thought their eyes were playing tricks on them. Soon after, the same thought appeared in their mind. Impossible! How can an ant like you be stronger than me, Song Jie? Song Jie's eyes flashed with fierce killing intent as he walked towards Su Fang. Contestants are forbidden to fight here. Otherwise, they will be disqualified. The Tool Spirit's cold voice suddenly sounded. Song Jie had to give up the idea, but his eyes were still filled with killing intent when he looked at Su Fang. Faintly, Bai Holan felt a threat from Su Fang. This was the first time he looked at Su Fang properly. Interesting. Finally, I've found another opponent. The following competition won't be so boring. Song Jie licked the corner of his mouth, like a wild beast that had found its prey. In the world of the universal globe disk, Bai Holan and Song Jie once had a confrontation with Su Fang. At that time, Song Jie regarded Su Fang as an ant, and Bai Holan also regarded Su Fang as nothing. After the preliminary round, Su Fangdao was in the limelight, but the two still disdained him. In their minds, not to mention the divine emperor realm, everyone below the third heaven was like an ant that didn't deserve to compete with them. However, this time, the two had to start paying attention to Su Fang. Different from the universal globe disk, the competition on the trial peak was based on real strength. In the first round, Bai Holan and Song Jie had a deep understanding of the strength of the demon gods they encountered. Not to mention the divine emperor realm, it was almost impossible for them to pass the test if they didn't have powerful means. Not only did Su Fang pass, but he also arrived before the two of them and advanced to a new level. How could the two of them not be shocked? Becoming Kamiko Hoshino was meaningless to Bai Holan and Song Jie. What they wanted to compete for was the ranking and reputation. The ant that they had once ignored had stolen their limelight, causing the two peerless geniuses to be filled with murderous intent. Bai Holan and Song Jie sat cross-legged on the platform. Both of them were unconvinced. They planned to wait until Su Fang finished his advancement and stabilized his condition. Then, they would challenge the test together. 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. During this period, other geniuses continued to pass the first round. Of the 1,000 geniuses who entered the trial peak, only 500 remained. The rest of the geniuses were eliminated. They either died at the hands of the demon gods or gave up and were sent out of the trial peak. Su Fang suddenly opened his eyes and said, "I want to continue." A divine power of the array enveloped him. The space distorted and sent him out of the platform. Bai Holan inexplicably snorted and spoke to the artifact spirit of the trial peak. He was also sent out. Song Jie was not willing to fall behind. He followed closely behind Bai Holan. Su Fang felt his body become weightless. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at a spacious divine array space. The space was filled with cold demonic qi. It was as if he had suddenly arrived at the demon realm. There was an altar in the middle of the array. A man in black was sitting cross-legged on the altar. Sensing Su Fang's arrival, the man in black looked up. His eyes flickered with an evil and dark luster. It was as if he wanted to devour Su Fang and the space around him. The demon race? The second round of the deity battle is indeed a demon race cultivator. Su Fang's divine light swept over the man in black. He sensed the demonic qi on the other party's body and confirmed his speculation. A heavenly god realm cultivator? The pale demon god, who did not look much different from a human cultivator, showed a look of disdain. After sizing up Su Fang, the demon god was pleasantly surprised. The blood qi in your body is not bad. There is an aura that I like very much. If I devour you, not only will I become stronger, but I will also regain some freedom. Qi, 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 qi. Waves of demonic qi seeped out of the demon god's body. A divine power quickly covered the entire array space. For a moment, the entire array space turned into a small demon realm. Then, it quickly condensed into hundreds of ferocious and terrifying demons. They let out shrill screams that made the Yang spirit tremble. They surged toward Su Fang like a tide, wanting to devour Su Fang. At least the strength of a third heaven divine emperor realm cultivator. Facing such a terrifying scene, Su Fang felt his scalp go numb. With his 8th heaven divine emperor realm cultivation base, normal methods could not deal with this demon god at all. Phaseless Fire Cloud Saber. Su Fang immediately used the illusory fire cloud and activated the 9 Yang divine fire. At the same time, he also fused the divine power of the prehistoric inflammation with it. He condensed a flaming saber that was 10 feet long. He separated his hands and swept toward the roaring demons. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as the burning saber touched the demons, it immediately caused a shocking explosion. The burning fire cloud drowned the demons and demonic qi. When the fire cloud dissipated, the demons released by the demon god were all killed by Su Fang. The 9 Yang divine fire and the prehistoric inflammation were incomparably domineering. They had an innate restraining effect on the demon race. In addition to the explosive power of the phaseless fire cloud saber, Su Fang's attack was far beyond the heavenly god realm. You actually have the divine ability to restrain the demon race. You human are not simple. A look of surprise appeared on the demon god's face. Only then did he treat Su Fang seriously. Then, he suddenly opened his mouth and let out a sharp demonic sound. Waves of ethereal primordial spirit sound instantly shuttled through the void and engulfed Su Fang. Immediately, the demon god's demonic qi rose. His whole person was like a burning demonic cloud. He took a step forward and leaped high into the air. Then, he pounced toward Su Fang. In the magic treasure space above the trial peak, the Star Billow Realm Lord first witnessed Bai Holan easily kill a demon race expert with a Yin Thunder Needle. Then, she saw Song Jie explode the head of a demon god with a tyrannical punch. Chapter 1950. Qishao Shinjun said, "In terms of talent, Mo Fenghua is definitely not inferior to Bai Holan and Song Jie. Unfortunately, his cultivation is too short and his cultivation is too low. It's reasonable that he can't compare to the two of them. If given enough time, Mo Fenghua will have the chance to soar into the sky." Zhu Yanjun shook her head and said, "If he misses the God-Child tournament, he won't have the chance to catch up with the other geniuses. In other words, he will be limited to the Star Billow Divine Realm." The Star Billow Realm Master said, "Mo Fenghua has already shocked the world by reaching this level. Let's wait and see how he performs next." Whoosh! Inside the formation space, Su Fang activated the Fire Cloud Emperor physique in the face of the baleful devilish tide. His entire body transformed into a terrifying fire cloud that covered an area of 100 feet. He swept out with an imposing aura that swept out in all directions. Boom, boom, boom. The fire cloud and devil cloud devoured each other and collided again and again, causing earth-shattering explosions that caused the formation space to shake violently. Some parts of the formation were broken or burned by the flames. Such a terrifying battle wasn't caused by ordinary low-level godly emperors. Only low-level godly emperors could cause such a terrifying battle. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn past, the fire cloud and devil cloud suddenly separated. The fire cloud rolled and reformed into Su Fang's physical body. His body was trembling, his face was pale, and his aura was chaotic. He looked like he had overdrawn his divine energy and magic power. That devil expert was also in a very sorry state. His black clothes had been burned away without a trace, revealing his horrifying devil body that was squirming with blood and flesh. His flesh and bones were covered with astonishing burn scars, and the divine power of the 9 suns' divine flame and the great desolate earth flame was still corroding his devil body with a sizzling sound. As expected of a genius qualified to participate in the God-Child tournament. You actually have such a powerful flame divine power and can fight against a powerful existence like me. Since I am sealed by the star billow divine realm, I will die in this seal sooner or later. Why don't I kill you and get rid of a future threat for my race? After suffering such heavy injuries, the demonic nature of the demonic god became stronger. Suddenly, an incomparably violent and evil aura burst out from his body. Layers of dark demonic light seeped out from his body and immediately ignited into terrifying demonic flames. His demon body seemed to have been ignited. His flesh, blood, bones and demon chi were all burning crazily. His terrifying aura instantly rose to the peak of the 3rd sky of the divine Emperor realm. This was not some kind of demonic art, but rather this demonic god was burning his own body, causing his strength to instantly increase by several times. You're ready to go all out? A smile suddenly appeared on Su Fang's weak face. You and I will die together. The demon god seemed to have gone mad. He turned into a blazing demon flame and swept towards Su Fang. How could my Su Fang die so easily? Since you like it, I'll let you burn as much as you want. Su Fang smiled coldly, and a burst of divine flame might exploded. This time, he did not activate the divine flame of 9 suns or the divine flame of Xianhuang's 6 paths pagoda. Instead, he directly let the prehistoric inflammation come out of the Origin's sacred mirror and completely fuse with his divine body. At this moment, Su Fang was the prehistoric inflammation, and the prehistoric inflammation was him. A powerful and strange fire elemental divine might shrouded the space within the formation. This divine flame might not only had the ability to destroy everything, but it also had the ability to turn everything into flames and control them. This was the divine flame might unique to the prehistoric inflammation. It was domineering and strange, with a mysterious yin and yang aura. Even Su Fang's divine flame of 9 suns was far inferior to it. Under this divine might, the demonic flames formed by the demon god's burning demonic body suddenly became even fiercer. However, this power was not under his control. Just how terrifying and despairing was this? The demon god was terrified and furious. What kind of damned flame is this? Boom! Su Fang did not use any divine ability. Instead, he crushed the demon god with a punch. It gave off the feeling of surging magma that swallowed the demon god in an instant. Puff! The demon god was sent flying. The divine flame might of the prehistoric inflammation seeped into his demon flame, causing the blood-red evil demon flame to immediately change color and burn even more wildly. Yang spirit projection. Su Fang's yang spirit emerged from the top of his head, and then flew toward the demon god, releasing a series of void primordial spirit attacks. How can a celestial god have such a powerful primordial spirit? After about a dozen breaths, the demon god's roars gradually subsided, and his burning demon body stopped moving. The demon race is indeed a powerful race. To suppress this demon god, I have no choice but to use the prehistoric inflammation. The demon race experts I will encounter next will become stronger and stronger. The prehistoric inflammation will not be able to help me to the end. Su Fang looked at the burning demon god. His heart moved, and a bold idea emerged in his mind. It was not that he did not have other means to deal with the demon race experts. The dragon bird and the Xianming thunder seal, which had been upgraded to a divine tool, could restrain the demon race, but he did not intend to use them now. Come here. Su Fang used the prehistoric inflammation to release a divine flame might. The burning demon god, with a whoosh, swept toward Su Fong. Su Fong took it into his inner world, and then sealed it with the power of yin and yang to prevent it from continuing to burn. Then, Su Fong took out the spiritual liquid formed by the creation saint pill and swallowed it into the air, frantically recovering the consumption just now. The main function of the creation saint pill was to condense spirit essence. Although it also had a restorative effect, it was not obvious. However, Su Fong's cultivation was too low compared to the creation saint pill. Its restorative effect was also very shocking to him. Next, just as Su Fong expected, the demon gods he encountered became stronger and stronger, and the demon arts they used also became more evil and powerful. Although he did not encounter the flame fiend of terror that he encountered in the Sui Yu cave, Su Fong encountered all kinds of evil demon race species, such as blood fiends, bone fiends, and powerful demon beasts. Su Fong used all his skills. Apart from some powerful trump cards, he took out all kinds of magic treasures and divine abilities. At the same time, he used the underworld reincarnation art to devour the blood and chi of the demon race expert. Relying on the divine flame might of the prehistoric inflammation and the power of his powerful primordial spirit, he finally suppressed the demon gods one after another. He suppressed a total of 12 demon gods, and they were all true experts. However, Su Fong won every time with great difficulty. It was far from as easy as when he faced the demon gods in the first trial. If Mo Fenghua does not use any powerful methods, it will be difficult to pass the second trial. The Star Billow Realm Lord sighed. He also has the great Tao of Time. He should have some confidence in passing this trial. However, the following trials will be even more difficult. Qishao Shinjun nodded. However, he still had great confidence in Su Fong. A peerless genius that could be included in the primordial chaos golden roll by infinite life must have something that moved infinite life. Qishao, I think the peerless genius that infinite life spoke of is not Mo Fenghua, but someone else. Perhaps infinite life made a mistake. Of course, this possibility is not high. Zhu Yanjun shook her head and smiled. She no longer paid attention to Su Fong. Instead, she focused her attention on Bai Holan and Song Jie. PFFF. 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 Bai Holan activated a 1-foot-long Yin Thunder needle. A cold black light as thin as a cow's hair burst out and drilled into the body of a demon race expert. The seemingly powerless Yin Thunder needle exploded with terrifying power. It exploded inside the body of this demon race expert. A burst of oppressive thunder came from his body and directly blew his powerful demon body into a bloody mist. Bai Holan smiled faintly. He waved his hand and took the Yin Thunder needle back into his body. Then, he was transported to the next formation space. At this moment, Song Jie also burst out with astonishing strength. After forming a seal, his body turned into a terrifying black hole that could devour and decompose all matter and energy. He swallowed the demon chi of the demon race experts he faced and then released it as a powerful destructive force. Boom! The upper body of a powerful demon god, whose strength was comparable to the third heavenly layer of the Divine Emperor realm, was directly destroyed by Song Jie's destructive force and turned into nothingness. The remaining 2 legs ran on the ground for more than 100 feet before finally falling to the ground. Bai Holan and Mo Fenghua, you two are still bitterly fighting the demon race experts right now. How can you be as relaxed as I, Song Jie? Song Jie revealed an arrogant and ferocious look, like a god of death. Just like this, the 2 peerless geniuses, Bai Holan and Song Jie, one with the help of a powerful divine weapon and the other with a supreme divine ability, quickly killed the demon race experts one after another. Although the spectators couldn't see the scene inside the trial peak and could only see the silhouettes of the geniuses, they could clearly see Bai Holan and Song Jie's figures rapidly rising, leaving the other geniuses far behind. Su Fang was quickly caught up by the other geniuses and fell behind in the 200 to 300 rank. In the spectators' space, words of ridicule began to ring out again. Kuan Su's divine sect fell into silence. It's already a pleasant surprise for Fenghua to be able to kill her way into the top 1,000. Even if she can't enter the top 100 and become Kimiko Hoshino, there's nothing to be disappointed about. Xianlingzi smiled, but his smile was somewhat forced. At this moment, Su Fang's figure suddenly sped up inside the trial peak. In less than an incense stick's worth of time, he rapidly rose to a new height. As if he was riding on a cloud of dust, he rapidly surpassed the other geniuses and rose to the top 100 ranks. Although Su Fang was still very far away from Bai Holan and Song Jie, his speed was several times faster. At this rate, it wouldn't take long for him to catch up to the two. Everyone from Kuan Su's divine sect immediately became spirited. The billions of gods in the spectators' space once again turned their attention to Su Fang. What divine ability did Mo Fenghua use to actually burst forth with such astonishing speed? The Starbelow Realm Lord, the Scarlet Firmament Realm, and Zhu Yanjun weren't surprised. When they clearly saw the speed of the battle with the demon race experts inside the trial peak, the three of them were stunned. Chapter 1951. Su Fang released the demon gods that were in a burning state from his body, and then removed the seal. Then, Su Fang used the power of prehistoric inflammation to control a dozen flaming demon gods to attack a giant Gorb devil that was comparable to a third heaven divine emperor. The primordial spirits of these demon gods were severely injured by Su Fang's primordial spirit. Under the power of prehistoric inflammation, they were in a burning state and their consciousness was completely under the control of prehistoric inflammation. In less than 30 breaths, the giant Gorb devil was on the verge of death under the frenzied attacks of the demon gods. At this time, Su Fang released his Yang spirit and used his powerful primordial spirit and prehistoric inflammation to burn the giant Gorb devil and seal it in his inner world. After this fierce battle, 3 of the demon gods under his control were completely burned to ashes, while the rest were kept by Su Fang. At this time, Su Fang was like controlling a one-use divine weapon. The powerful enemies were all under his control. How could his speed not be fast? How could it not be easy? Using such an ingenious method to pass the stage was indeed cheating. Moreover, it was in front of Zhu Yanjun, Qishao Shenjun, and the Starbelow Realm Lord. Qishao Shenjun couldn't help but laugh. This kid is smart. He came up with such an ingenious method. This way, the competition for this stage won't be difficult for him. The Starbelow Realm Lord said, Mo Fenghua's method is unfair to the other geniuses. Unfair? Zhu Yanjun snorted. The primitive earth flame is his good fortune, and Bai Holan and Song Jie also have their own good fortune. How is it unfair? Song Jie has the great Tao of devouring and destruction. This is his talent and also his fortune. But the others don't. Isn't this unfair to the others? Moreover, Mo Fenghua's primordial spirit is so powerful that it far surpasses other gods of the same level. This is the main reason why he can control the demon god. This is true strength. Even if other people have prehistoric inflammation, they might not be able to do what he did. Zhu Yanjun's words caused the Starbelow Realm Lord and Qishao Shenjun to deeply agree. At the same time, they were endlessly amazed by the powerful primordial spirit power that Su Fang displayed. If these 3 experts knew that Su Fang had a second nascent divinity that was several times stronger than his original nascent divinity, and that Su Fang had only used his pure nascent divinity in order to not attract attention and did not use Night Demon's nascent divinity ability, who knows how shocked they would be. The Starbelow Realm Master smiled bitterly and said, What's the point of Mo Fenghua challenging the level in this way? If he still uses these demonic gods to deal with the resurrected experts in the next stage, or if he uses prehistoric inflammation to control the resurrected experts, wouldn't the next battle be useless to him? It's fine for this stage, but we have to restrict them in the next stage. Otherwise, won't the battle between the divine princes become child's play? Qishao Shenjun said majestically. In the trial peak, Su Fang was like a hot knife through butter, advancing by leaps and bounds. Almost at the same time as Bai Holan and Song Jie, they arrived at the last formation space. The three of them were facing a powerful bone devil whose strength had reached the peak of the third heaven of the divine emperor realm. Bai Holan's cultivation had surpassed the peak of the third heaven of the divine emperor realm, reaching the peak of the fourth heaven. He was a middle divine emperor and possessed a powerful divine weapon. It was not easy for him to face such a powerful demonic god. Song Jie's cultivation was similar to the bone devil he faced, both of them at the peak of the third heaven of the divine emperor realm. His divine ability was very strange, so he also encountered some trouble when fighting with the bone devil. Of course, for the two peerless geniuses, Bai Holan and Song Jie, although it was a little troublesome to face a powerful enemy at the last stage, it was not difficult to deal with them. They just needed to spend some effort and a lot of divine origin and dermic power. As for Su Fang, he had already controlled more than 30 flaming demon gods at this time. More than 30 flaming demon gods equivalent to the third heaven of the divine emperor realm, after burning their origin, displayed incredible strength. It was naturally very easy for them to besiege the bone devil at the peak of the third heaven. At the same time, Su Fang was constantly activating the underworld reincarnation technique to devour the bone devil's vitality and weaken his strength. After about 30 minutes, the bone devil had killed more than a dozen flaming demon gods. Under Su Fang's powerful primordial spirit attack and the burning power of the prehistoric inflammation, the bone devil's body was burning with white demon fire. His whole demonic body was burning, and he was suppressed and sealed by Su Fang. It's a pity that these flaming demon gods can only be burned once by the prehistoric inflammation, and it won't last long. The prehistoric inflammation has consumed too much energy, so they will have to sleep in the Origin's sacred mirror for a long time. Su Fang looked at the ashes of the flaming demon gods and felt pity. If he could subdue such powerful subordinates, his strength would definitely rise to a new height, and he would be regarded as an expert in all the heavens and realms. Whoosh! Su Fang appeared on a platform on the ridge of the trial peak. The artifact spirit's cold voice sounded out, "There is still one final stage in the Godchild competition. The top 100 geniuses who reach the summit of the artifact peak will become the Star Billow Godchild, and then there will be the Godchild ranking battle. Do you choose to rest for 10 years or continue? Rest? Of course not." Su Fang sneered. The second stage was too easy, and he did not need to rest at all. The device spirit said coldly, "Let me remind you that in the following stages, you are not allowed to use the flaming demon gods you control, nor are you allowed to use the prehistoric inflammation to resurrect experts. Otherwise, you will violate the rules of the Divine Sun competition, and you will be disqualified. Do you still want to continue without rest? There's actually such a restriction?" Su Fang raised his eyebrows, and immediately understood that this was not the device spirit's decision, but the Star Billow Realm Lord's idea. "Looks like the Realm Lord doesn't want me to pass so easily." Su Fang smiled indifferently. Bai Holan was the #1 genius of the Star Billow realm. Although the Star Billow realm lord thought highly of Su Fang, he did not want him to steal Bai Holan's limelight, so it was not hard to understand why he made such a decision. Without the prehistoric inflammation, without the help of the flaming demon gods, are there any other restrictions? There aren't any. All right, I choose to continue. Su Fang said decisively. Good luck. As the device spirit's indifferent voice fell, the array wrapped around Su Fang and sent him out of the platform. Once again, there was an uproar in the stands. Kuan Su and the rest of the divine sect naturally cheered in joy, while the others were shocked and doubtful. Cheating, Mo Fenghua must have used some kind of cheating method. If he didn't cheat, How could he surpass Bai Holan and Song Jia with his eighth heavenly god cultivation? Su Fang's performance in the preliminaries was universally shocking, so people could barely accept it. But now, he had consecutively surpassed Bai Holan and Song Jia, especially Bai Holan, which naturally made people feel unconvinced. After about an incense sticks time, Bai Holan and Song Jia appeared on the platform one after another. Just like last time, Bai Holan passed the second stage before Song Jia. Not seeing Su Fang's shadow, Bai Holan smiled faintly and sat down to recover. Song Jia laughed strangely. Isn't Mo Fenghua very heaven-defying? Why is he missing this time? At this time, figures appeared on the platform one after another. They were all the Star Billow Realm geniuses, who were predicted to be at the top of the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. Piercing Metal was also among them. Compared to Bai Holan and Song Jia, these geniuses were in a much more miserable state. All of them had injuries on their bodies. Piercing Metal's divine light swept across the platform and didn't see Mo Fenghua's figure. He couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. I hope Mo Fenghua can pass this stage. It would be a pity if he can't fight with him in the final competition. A genius with an arrogant expression said disdainfully, Piercing Metal, you're really a disgrace to our Star Billow realm. A heavenly god is actually your opponent. Piercing Metal sneered. Zhou Kuanga, Bai Shen was almost killed by Mo Fenghua before entering the trial peak. Do you think he's an ordinary genius? If you meet him in the final ranking competition, you might not be his match. So this genius was called Zhou Kuanga. He was ranked behind Bai Holan and Song Jia in the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce's prediction. He was also a famous peerless genius in the Star Billow realm. Piercing Metal's words made Zhou Kuanga snort disdainfully. At this time, the Star Billow realm master's majestic voice suddenly resounded on the platform. Mo Fenghua has already entered the third stage. Bai Holan, you don't need to hide your strength anymore. Don't fall behind Mo Fenghua. Mo Fenghua has already entered the third stage? Bai Holan's eyes suddenly opened. A terrifying light flashed in his eyes. Song Jia was even more incredulous. The others also had looks of disbelief. I didn't think that this god-child competition would actually make me, Bai Holan, reveal my full strength. Interesting, this Mo Fenghua is really interesting. Bai Holan smiled faintly and allowed the artifact spirit to send him to the next stage. I didn't think that there would be another opponent besides Bai Holan. I can't wait to fight with Mo Fenghua for real. Song Jia also followed Bai Holan and entered the third stage's formation space. Zhou Kuanga, Piercing Metal, and the other geniuses hesitated for a moment before swallowing pills to recover on the platform. The reason why the Star Billow Realm Master had specially warned Bai Holan was probably because Su Fang's performance in the third stage had caused the Star Billow Realm Master to become a little anxious. Su Fang didn't release the flaming devil god, nor did he borrow the divine might of prehistoric inflammation. Instead, cheating again. Inside the formation space inside the trial peak. Whoosh! A golden Xian Guang, like the light of a divine sun, shot out. The light quickly condensed into an arrow. It emitted a dazzling golden light and carried the might of a divine sun. With a whoosh sound, it shot into the chest of a revived god in the formation space. In an instant, the aura of death surrounding this revived expert was forcibly torn apart and incinerated layer by layer. Chapter 1952. Boom! Like the explosion of a divine sun, a hole was blasted open in the resurrected powerhouse's body. Furthermore, the divine power of the sun was constantly corroding the deathly aura within its body. 8-8 Read Book O? The resurrected powerhouse let out a shrill howl that sounded like the wailing of a ghost as it charged towards Su Fang in a frenzy. Su Fang's figure flickered as a mysterious power of time lingered around him, causing him to appear in a different time and space from the resurrected powerhouse. When the resurrected powerhouse shattered the figure that Su Fang had left behind a breath ago, Su Fang had already appeared behind it and punched the resurrected powerhouse's head with the power of pure yang. The resurrected powerhouse's head seemed to ignite as it exploded with a loud bang. An incomparably powerful resurrected expert was easily killed by Su Fang just like that. From start to finish, it only took about 10 breaths of time. What was the sun? It was the extreme power of yang. It was a fatal threat to any evil existence and could eliminate any evil power. The dragon bird's divine power of the sun was even more deadly against resurrected powerhouses. After Su Fang had fused with his perfect physical body, it was as easy as crushing dry weeds against a resurrected powerhouse. At this moment, Su Fang's entire body was exuding an astonishing aura of pure yang. He was like a god of war, majestic and invincible. Furthermore, the dragon bird had grown to its current height, so releasing the sun god's arrow didn't consume much of its energy. It only needed to rest for 2 to 4 hours to recover to its peak state. While the dragon bird was resting, Su Fang took out another trump card to restrain the resurrected powerhouse: the Xianming Lightning Archive. The Xianming Lightning Archive had been upgraded to a mid-tier divine artifact by the 3 divine kings. Not only had the materials used to refine the Xianming Lightning Archive changed, but the formations and restrictions within the divine artifact had also been completely changed. Coupled with the Purple Cloud Dharma Spirit's ability to control magic treasures and the cooperation of the Xianming Lightning Archive's artifact spirit, it was much easier for Su Fang to control the Xianming Lightning Archive. Su Fang used the Lightning of Destiny to activate the Xianming Lightning Archive. Although it consumed a lot of life force, it wasn't as terrifying as before. In addition, Su Fang had killed a powerful demon god in the first stage and had accumulated a large number of blood crystals. In addition, after devouring a large amount of dragon chi, the dragon-subduing true body had transformed once again, and its recovery ability had become incomparably astonishing. Therefore, the life force that Su Fang consumed to activate the mysterious underworld lightning was quickly replenished. With the Dragon Bird and the Xianming Thunder Archive, these 2 powerful trump cards to deal with resurrected powerhouses, how could Su Fang's speed of passing through the levels not be fast? Su Fang had fused with the Draconic Bird's sun energy and the Draconic Bird's aura. Naturally, it couldn't escape the senses of the Star Billow Realm Lord, Qishao Shenjun and Zhu Yanjun. The 3 venerables were speechless at Su Fang's cheating method. This brat actually has a mutated divine beast that can release the sun's divine might hidden in his body. This brat's methods are truly endless. The Starwave Realm Master sighed helplessly. Just what kind of luck does this brat Mo Fenghua have to obtain such a mutated divine beast that specializes in restraining resurrected powerhouses? If this divine beast grows to a certain height, it will be a supreme method to deal with resurrected powerhouses. Isn't it a blessing for us human cultivators? There's also that lightning divine artifact. Although it's only a middle-rank divine artifact, it's comparable to a peak top-rank divine artifact when used against resurrected powerhouses. For Mo Fenghua to be able to activate such a divine artifact to such a height, it's enough to show just how extraordinary his ability to control divine artifacts is. Right now, I'm somewhat convinced that this brat is the peerless genius that Infinite Life God put into the Primal Chaos Golden ranking. Zhu Yanjun's eyes shone brightly. What was the purpose of the Star Billow Realm, and even the myriad realms selecting peerless geniuses through the Godchild competition? It was to deal with the calamity that was about to engulf the myriad realms, and possibly even destroy the entire 3 realms. Su Fang possessed the profound Underworld Lightning Archive and the Dragon Bird that specialized in restraining resurrected powerhouses. The profound Underworld Lightning Archive might not be in the eyes of an expert like Zhu Yanjun, but the Dragon Bird attracted Zhu Yanjun's attention. It was precisely because of the importance she attached to the Dragon Bird that Su Fang's position in Zhu Yanjun's heart rapidly rose to a new height. Seeing Zhu Yanjun's evaluation of Su Fang, the Star Billow Realm Master had no choice but to dispel the idea of warning Su Fang. However, he didn't want Su Fang to take all the limelight, so he secretly reminded Bai Holan. Zhu Yanjun said majestically, "Your Excellency, this sovereign wants to see the true strength of Mo Fenghua, Bai Holan and Song Jie. As the heavenly monarch commands." The Star Billow Realm Master understood and used the power of the magical artifact on the trial peak to switch the resurrected powerhouses at the last moment of the third stage. Not only Su Fang, but Bai Holan and Song Jie were also switched to even stronger resurrected powerhouses inside the trial peak. At this moment, Bai Holan and Song Jie felt the enormous pressure coming from Su Fang. No longer hiding anything, they unleashed all of their strength and chased after Su Fang, gradually shortening the distance between them and Su Fang. About 3 months later, Su Fang, Bai Holan, and Song Jie, the three of them stepped into the final stage of the third stage at almost the same time. The Star Billow Realm Lord, the Scarlet Firmament God Sovereign, Zhu Yanjun, the upper echelons of the Star Billow God Realm, the big shots, and the hundreds of millions of gods in the stands all focused their attention on the three of them. At this moment, everyone's attention was no longer on who would become Kimiko Hoshino, but on who would be the first to complete the 3 stages of the trial peak and reach the peak of the trial peak. The resurrected powerhouses that Su Fang, Bai Holan, and Song Jie encountered were roughly equal in strength. They were all at the peak of the third heaven of the Divine Emperor realm. However, they were different from the resurrected powerhouses they had encountered before. The resurrected powerhouses they faced were several times stronger than the ones they had encountered before. This was a resurrected demon god, exuding a terrifying aura that was a mixture of death and devil aura. There was also an ancient aura mixed in, causing the entire formation space to turn into an evil world. Gusts of chilly wind and evil aura whistled in the formation space like the roar of evil spirits. Even with Su Fang's powerful primordial spirit, he couldn't help but tremble. The eyes of this resurrected demon god shot out a cold and evil devilish light, causing Su Fang to feel as if his soul was about to be set ablaze. Su Fang hurriedly recited the mental cultivation method of the Great Tao to protect his mind. At the same time, he also slightly activated the life-shrinking art to protect his primordial spirit. The terrifying pressure brought by the resurrected demon god's power suddenly disappeared. What shocked Su Fang the most was that there was a mysterious violet chi above the revived expert's head. This violet chi was the supreme karmic luck bestowed by the heavenly Tao. Although it was not very dense, it was without a doubt the karmic luck of the heavenly Tao. Luo, why do I feel that this resurrected powerhouse is different from all the resurrected powerhouses I've encountered before? Su Fang asked Luo Yuyu doubtfully. It's a little different, Luo Yuyu replied in a dignified tone. However, he couldn't explain why. After all, his primordial spirit had been shackled in the macro world for many years. He wasn't very clear about the changes that occurred after the upheaval of heaven and earth. At this time, Shu Wanjin's voice came faintly from the Origin Sacred Mirror along with the chilly aura. This demon god is different from the ordinary resurrected powerhouses of the micro world, macro world, and heavens. He is a resurrected primordial ancient demon. Primordial ancient demon? Su Fang was astonished. That's right. The resurrected demon god you've encountered now is very unusual. He is a demon god born from the chaos in the primordial age after the upheaval of heaven and earth. At that time, human beings had just been born and had not yet formed the cultivation civilization. Su Fang felt a little incredulous. Prehistoric inflammation and the flame demon are both considered to be existences of the primordial age. However, they have only been born now and can't be considered as true primordial age existences. The more ancient that period was, the more primordial age a demon god was. Even if the demon god's demonic body was not destroyed, his consciousness would have long been annihilated. How could he be resurrected? You're right. The ancient demon that fell in the primordial age has long lost his consciousness after such a long time. However, there are some incomparably powerful demon gods that are so powerful that they are in harmony with the great Tao of heaven and earth. Even if they fall, they still exist in the heavenly way and become near-eternal existences. If there are no accidents, they will eventually be annihilated in the long river of time. Only those evil cultivators can use some evil divine abilities to summon their wills. However, that's only a projection of their wills, not a real existence. However, the changes of heaven and earth time and time again allowed their residual consciousness in the heavenly way to find the undestroyed demon body and be resurrected. Not only the ancient demons of the primordial age, but also many powerful human experts, ancient fierce beasts, and some strange existences may be resurrected in this way. Experts who are resurrected in this way, although not as powerful as before, are still extremely powerful and difficult to kill. Moreover, they also have supreme luck and will be protected by the heavenly way. The resurrected demon god you're facing now, although his strength is only at the peak of the third heaven of the divine emperor realm, is more than 10 times more difficult to deal with than gods, and demons of the same level. Xu Wanjin's words shocked Su Fang and Law. Resurrected experts are originally born in defiance of heaven. Why are they not punished by heaven but protected by the heavenly way? Law couldn't help but ask. This was the first time he had communicated with Xu Wanjin. In the past, they were born in defiance of heaven, but now they are born in accordance with heaven. It won't be long before the entire heavenly way is changed. Gods and all living things in heaven and earth will be rejected by the heavenly way and eventually destroyed. The heavenly way is about to die. Su Fang suddenly recalled what the undead emperor had said. A feeling of the sky collapsing instantly rose in his heart. If what Xu Wanjin said was true, that the heavenly way was replaced by the will and power of the supreme demon god, it would mean the end of the heavenly way. Chapter 1953. You don't have to worry about anything. Although the resurrected expert is powerful, there are also supreme existences of the human race in the universe. They will definitely find a way to deal with it. This God's Son of God competition is most likely a preparation for the next upheaval of the world. Besides, if the heavenly Tao really perishes, no life in the 3 realms will be able to survive. Nothing will exist. What is there to worry about? Xu Wanjin sighed faintly. Her voice disappeared into the mysterious space of the Origin's sacred mirror along with the cold air. Law, this doesn't look good. Su Fang felt a heavy pressure. Cultivators should seize every moment. Don't be burdened by the past and don't fear the future. You should focus on dealing with this resurrected ancient demon in front of you. Law sighed and continued to settle in the time cave. Human boy, are you afraid? If you are, then get out of here. It's not that I don't want to kill you, but killing you will definitely anger the experts of the Star Billow God realm and lead to their revenge. The resurrected demon god shouted coldly. His voice was filled with violence and fierceness. The aura of the entire array space shook, giving people the feeling that the world was shaking. You don't want to kill me, but I want to kill you. Su Fang shouted domineeringly. Immediately, he activated the Xianming lightning seal and released a bolt of lightning. The terrifying power of thunder instantly swept away all the evil qi, death qi, and devil qi in the space of the formation. Amidst the rumbling of thunder, the lightning struck the resurrected demon god. Rumble! Thunder rumbled, and the array formation space fell into a violent and ferocious destructive lightning. The surrounding array formation constantly shook, and even the trial peak violently shook along with it. What a terrifying divine artifact! It can release such a shocking lightning technique. The Star Billow Realm Lord, Qishao Shinjun, and Zhu Yanjun were all shocked by the terrifying power of the Xianming lightning seal. For a mediocre divine artifact to be able to unleash such terrifying power, it was truly extraordinary. I am an immortal existence. Even the heavenly Tao apocalyptic lightning can't destroy me, let alone the lightning energy released by a divine artifact. More than half of the death aura around the demon god was destroyed as the lightning struck his body. This resurrected demon god was incomparably powerful, but in the face of such terrifying lightning elemental power, he did not have a good time either. His skin peeled off layer by layer and was incinerated, revealing his flesh and bones. However, the blood chi of the resurrected demon god surged, and the demon body immediately recovered as if it had not suffered any damage. Human brat, come here and let me have a taste of your flesh and blood, the resurrection devil god said with a hideous grin as he grabbed at Su Fang. Su Fang felt that the space around him had been shackled, making it difficult for him to move as he moved towards the resurrected demon god. You want to devour my Su Fang? See if I don't break your devil teeth. Su Fang suddenly opened her mouth. Chi! A golden red pillar of fire shot out from Su Fang's mouth, turning into an overbearing blazing flame that melted the shackles around it and shot straight at the resurrected demon god. Essence Sun Fire? The divine light of the resurrected devil god changed instantly. He opened his mouth and spat out a black demonic aura that carried a strong aura of death, which quickly condensed into a demonic defense in front of him. Chi chi chi. After a burst of crazy burning, a hole was burned through the defense of the resurrected demon god by the terrifying power of the essence Sun Fire. More than half of the essence Sun Fire was also consumed, and a small part fell on the resurrected demon god and started burning. However, the power of the essence Sun Fire was also very difficult to kill the resurrected demon god. As the resurrected demon god constantly urged the evil aura to wear down the power of the essence Sun Fire, the power of the essence Sun Fire was quickly consumed. The resurrected demon god's evil voice suddenly sounded. Human brat, although the essence Sun Fire is what I fear the most, its power is far from enough to kill me. What other tricks do you have? Bring them all out. As you wish. At this time, Su Fang had already taken the opportunity to complete a complicated seal. He separated his hands, and two mysterious auras of black and white intertwined to form the arrow of time. It burst out an aura that could annihilate time and space, covering the resurrected demon god. Time flow divine ability. The area of 3 meters around the resurrected demon god was an area of chaotic time and destruction. Within this area, time would sometimes stop, sometimes accelerate, and sometimes reverse. There was even a terrifying state of annihilation of time. The resurrected demon god's body withered and shattered layer by layer in this chaotic power of time. His monstrous aura was now gone, and he was on the verge of being seriously injured. Su Fang also paid a great price. It was as if time had gone back thousands of years on his body, making him look like he was only 15 years old. He looked younger, but in fact, his life force was damaged. His face was pale, revealing a sense of exhaustion and weakness. However, his eyes flashed with ruthlessness and determination. Not only was he ruthless to the enemy, but also to himself. Fate is the creation, and I control the heavenly secret. If I am destroyed, everything will be destroyed. Su Fang recited the essence of the heavenly secret's life-shrinking technique in his heart, and his eyes flashed with a nihility light that could destroy fate. This power seemed to be able to destroy everything. As long as it was connected to the enemy's fate, it could be destroyed. When the power of the arrow of time disappeared, Su Fang's eyes also fell on the resurrected demon god. Rumble! The resurrected demon god sensed that in the unseen fate, there was a silent clap of thunder. A terrifying feeling that wanted to completely erase him from the world quickly enveloped his heart, making him feel despair and fear that he had never felt before. Soon after, his demonic body, soul and everything else began to rapidly collapse, turning into nothingness. However, the resurrected demon god was extremely powerful, and was a near-eternal existence. Su Fang's thunder of fate could not completely kill him. At most, it could only cause him serious injuries. 4 Seasons Samsara Seal, Netherworld Samsara Technique. Su Fang did not hesitate to use the 4 Seasons Samsara Seal and the Netherworld Samsara Technique. The divine power of time and the cycle of life enveloped the resurrected demon god, causing him and everything in the surrounding space to fall into a mysterious cycle of reincarnation. The power of the thunder of fate, coupled with the power of samsara, was repeatedly added to the resurrected demon god's body, causing him to rapidly turn into nothingness. In this way, the thunder of fate was repeatedly used on him dozens of times. Puff, as the power of the 4 Seasons Samsara Seal and the Netherworld Samsara Technique disappeared, the resurrected demon god turned into a pile of ashes, drifting into nothingness. Not only his demonic body, but the remnant consciousness that he had fused with the heavenly Tao was also completely gone. The thunder of fate, coupled with the power of time and the cycle of life, had a terrifying power. However, Su Fang also suffered heavy losses. Using the arrow of time had already consumed a lot of his life force. At this time, using the thunder of fate to kill a powerful resurrected demon god had caused more than 2/3 of his life force to be consumed. If it weren't for the fact that I didn't dare to use the power of the inner world and couldn't use the origin sacred mirror, why would I have to pay such a huge price? Su Fang's face turned white, and he felt very gloomy. He crushed pieces of blood crystals in his body. Then, he formed a seal, shattered the insides of his body, and used the netherworld sea of blood. Blood slowly flowed under his skin, devouring the life force in the blood crystals. At the same time, he also activated the recovery ability of the Black Lotus True Body and the Dragon Subduing True Body to quickly restore the life force that he had consumed. Congratulations, you have successfully passed the 3 tests. The voice of the Trial Peaks device spirit was no longer indifferent, but with a trace of surprise and surprise. Then, he activated a magic treasure's power and sent Su Fang out of the formation space. In the magic treasures space above the Trial Peak, the 3 experts who could see the scene inside the Trial Peak looked at each other, their eyes full of shock. Su Fang may have been cheating in the beginning, but killing the resurrected demon god had shown his real strength. Killing a resurrected demon god at the peak of the 3rd heaven of the Divine Emperor realm might not be enough to shock the 3 experts, but the powerful and mysterious divine ability that Su Fang used to kill the resurrected demon god not only shocked them, but also made them palpitate. This boy has mastered such an amazing divine ability. If he uses it on other geniuses in the following ranking competition, who can be spared? Mo Fenghua doesn't need to participate in the final ranking competition, Zhu Yanjun said in a deep voice. Then how should we deal with his ranking? The Star Billow Realm Lord deeply agreed with Zhu Yanjun's decision. After the 100 Kamiko Hoshino was determined, the ranking competition would be held. This was not only related to reputation, but also related to rewards, resources, and the importance that the star field attached to the geniuses. Naturally, it couldn't be done carelessly. Su Fang's performance was indeed amazing, but if he really fought with Bai Holan and Song Jie, he might not win. At this time, Zhu Yanjun decided not to let him participate in the ranking competition. As for Su Fang's ranking, it was really difficult for the Star Billow Realm Lord to decide. After thinking for a moment, Zhu Yanjun said, "Fine. Let's change the format of the ranking battle for the Chosen's Child." Whoosh! Su Fang, shrouded in a spatial distortion, appeared at the top of the Trial Peak. Mo Fenghua! The first to pass the test is still Mo Fenghua. In the vast space of the stands, the grand scene of hundreds of millions of people was collectively speechless, falling into a dead silence. // Ling Xiangmei was the first to speak, breaking the silence of the stands. Fenghua is the first to pass again. Who dares to say that he cheated? Could it be that the first and second times were cheating? Could it be that the third round was also cheating? What a joke! Kuan Su's voice followed with a thunderous roar, sweeping out. Mo Fenghua is mighty. Kuan Su is mighty in the divine world. Kuan Su's divine sect's upper echelons and disciples all burst out in cheers. Mo Fenghua is simply too heaven-defying. Even Bai Holan can't suppress him. I can't help but be convinced. Mo Fenghua's talent is something that Bai Holan and Song Jie can't compare to. Chapter 1954. Taking first place in 3 consecutive stages of the trial peak, such impressive results were enough to prove Su Fang's peerless talent. Even Bai Holan, Song Jie, and many other peerless geniuses could not overshadow Su Fang's talent. On the trial peak, the figure that looked like it would fall at any moment was so tall and majestic in the eyes of everyone. Most of the hundreds of millions of people in the spectator space were completely convinced by Su Fang. Although Su Fang looked old and decrepit at this moment, in the eyes of some women, there was a charm that made them ecstatic, and they screamed crazily for Su Fang. However, there were still some people who, while marveling at Su Fang's amazing talent, still thought that Su Fang would not be able to defeat Bai Holan and Song Jie in the following ranking battles. At most, his strength would be on the same level as geniuses like Piercing Metal and Stone. Su Fang's doddering appearance at this moment was proof of this. Ji Xingyue was also in the spectator stands. She looked at Su Fang, who was at the peak of the trial peak, and her eyes were filled with incomparable shock, as well as a strong sense of resentment. This bastard is actually so extraordinary. But so what? No matter how heaven-defying your natural talent is, this young master will still crush you like an ant before you grow up. Her voice was like a tsunami that spread from the spectator space to the trial peak and was heard by Su Fang. He looked up at the divine sun monument above, his face revealing a soaring spirit. A strong sense of self-confidence spontaneously rose in his heart. At this moment, he was sufficient to prove to the world that he was still that Su Fang with extraordinary natural talent from the minor and major worlds in the universe. No matter how lowly his birth was, he could still rise up in the universe. At the same time, reaching the trial peak also meant that he had become Kimiko Hoshino. According to the previous agreement with Qishao Shinjun, he could save Bai Ling without paying any price. How could Su Fang not be wild with joy? Su Fang sat cross-legged on the mountain peak and continued to urge the yellow spring blood sea to merge with the blood crystals and elixirs. He also urged the Black Lotus real body and the dragon-subduing real body to frantically recover the huge consumption just now. Time passed day by day. Su Fang's face became younger at an unbelievable speed. His life aura also changed from a weak state to a vigorous one. About 15 days later, Su Fang finally recovered to his peak state. Not only did he not seem to have suffered any injuries, but his cultivation and life aura had also become more refined. This scene shocked everyone once again. Su Fang's long hair danced in the wind, and he looked incredibly spirited. He gave off a pure yang aura and once again caused countless people, especially the young women, to cry out. Su Fang raised his head to look at the area where Kuan Su's divine sect was located. In a split second, countless women fainted from excitement. The sound waves of screams converged and rose, one after another, and did not stop for a long time. At this moment, a spatial distortion came from the void, and Bai Holan's figure appeared at the peak of the trial peak. Bai Holan's hair was a mess. His face was pale and his aura was weak. Wounds could be seen all over his body. Obviously, the confrontation with the resurrected demon god had caused this peerless genius of the star field's top 10 young masters to suffer a lot. Hearing the cheers and screams, Bai Holan had some misunderstandings. Young Master Bai, who had long been accustomed to this scene, smiled proudly and waved his hand to indicate to the people in the stands. Who knew the voices in the stands gradually calmed down, and the countless gazes that looked at Bai Holan carried a strange feeling. Only now did Bai Holan realize that something was wrong. Then, he saw another figure at the peak of the trial peak. The elegant and confident smile on Bai Holan's face gradually froze. At this moment, Bai Holan felt as if he had been stripped of all his clothes in front of everyone. That kind of feeling, that kind of embarrassment, was hard to describe. As expected of Bai Holan, a majestic and vast aura surged out of his body. Just as he was about to explode in anger, he quickly calmed down. He looked at the artifact's space above the trial peak and said coldly, "I, Bai Holan, refuse to accept this. I, Songjie, also refuse to accept this." Songjie also appeared at the peak of the trial peak. He looked more than 10 times more miserable than Bai Holan. Half of his face had been corroded to the point of being full of holes. It was a ghastly sight. The blood energy in his body surged, and the scars on the surface of Songjie's body disappeared without a trace. He returned to his previous cold and fierce appearance, but his aura was still weak. "I, Songjie, really can't figure out how this ant can beat me and Bai Holan. If you say that he didn't cheat, I, Songjie, will be the first to not believe it." Songjie looked at Su Fang and said coldly and embarrassedly, "I, Zhou Kuanga, also refuse to accept this." Zhou Kuanga, Piercing Metal, and the other geniuses of the Star Billow God Realm also appeared at the peak of the trial peak one after another. The resurrected experts they encountered at the last moment were far inferior to the resurrected devil gods that the Star Billow Realm Lord had specially arranged for Su Fang, Bai Holan, and Songjie. In the end, they still fell behind Bai Holan and Songjie, which showed how big the difference in strength was. Passing the 3 difficult tests and reaching the peak of the trial peak meant that they had become Kimiko Hoshino. It should have been a joyous matter. However, when these geniuses heard that Su Fang had reached the peak of the trial 10 days before Bai Holan and Songjie, their good mood immediately disappeared. They then raised their doubts one after another. They could accept that Bai Holan was the first to reach the peak of the trial peak. Who dared to refuse the strength of the Star Billow's 10 great young masters? Even if Songjie was the first to pass the test, it wasn't unacceptable. Songjie's powerful strength and ruthless methods had already intimidated many geniuses. The first to reach the peak of the trial peak was actually Mo Fenghua. Tongbao Chamber of Commerce was predicted to be ranked 250. What qualifications did he have to take first place? Mo Fenghua, this lowly ant, what qualifications do you have to surpass us and even Bai Holan and Songjie? I, Piercing Metal, refuse to accept this. Piercing Metal's voice rang out. Then, he pointed at Su Fang and arrogantly shouted, "Mo Fenghua, fight me alone if you have the guts. Mo Fenghua, I, Zhou Kuanga, challenge you. I, Yuan Yunyu, also refuse to accept this challenge. Do you dare to accept it?" In an instant, Su Fang became the target of public criticism. It was as if he had committed a heinous crime. "You all want to challenge me?" Su Fang chuckled. Then, his cold gaze swept across each and every one of the geniuses. He raised the corner of his mouth and sneered, "If you can't do it, then it means that your so-called geniuses are nothing more than an undeserved reputation." Then, he mocked and ridiculed, "You all keep saying that I'm a lowly ant. That's right, I, Mo Fenghua, am indeed an ant from a small place like Kuan Su's divine sect. But you all can't even compare to an ant like me. Then, what are you all?" This time, it was as if a hornet's nest had been poked. Angry rebukes rang out from the peak of the trial peak. If looks could kill, Su Fang would have been torn to pieces by the infuriated geniuses. The Star Billow Realm Lord's dignified voice suddenly rang out from the peak, "If you're not as skilled as others, then use your strength to prove yourself. What's the difference between you and those shrews who curse in the streets? Are you worthy of being Kimiko Hoshino? Why aren't you all preparing? The ranking battles are coming up next." Only then did the peak of the trial peak quiet down. The geniuses sat cross-legged on the ground and used all kinds of methods to recover their strength and prepare for the even more intense ranking battles. At this time, Su Fang had become the public enemy of everyone. The geniuses consciously distanced themselves from him, causing Su Fang to sit cross-legged and look lonely. What happened on the trial peak spread to the outside world at an astonishing speed. Su Fang's Yuebuaholan was the first to reach the peak of the trial peak. This news caused a frenzied wave in the Star Billow Divine Realm. The entire Star Billow Divine Realm was shaken. When the news reached Kuan Su's divine sect, the entire Kuan Su divine sect fell into a frenzy. The news quickly spread to the Star Billow Divine Realm and the other divine realms. The Sanskrit of the Turbid Cloud Divine Realm was shocked and immediately sent the upper echelons of their clan to the Star Billow Divine Realm. When the assassin faction, No God, received the news, their mysterious boss issued a decree filled with murderous intent. No God's subordinate, Run Yu, who was hiding in the secret realm of the Star Billow Divine Realm, was forced to commit suicide. The experts under No God's command all rushed to the Star Billow Divine Realm. Some of the powerful forces in the star field also began to pay attention to Su Fang. About 3 years later, the 100th genius had passed the 3 tests and stepped onto the peak of the trial peak. This meant that the 100 Kimiko Hoshino candidates had been determined and the Godchild ranking battle was next. The ranking of the 100 Kimiko Hoshino was not only related to one's reputation, it also affected one's future status, and all kinds of resources one could enjoy. Even if all these were put aside, which of these competitive geniuses would be willing to submit to someone else? The real fierce competition was about to begin. Countless people and forces were waiting with bated breath. Whoosh! Under everyone's gaze, the Star Billow Realm Lord and Qishao Shinjun accompanied Zhu Yanjun on either side as they flew to the peak of the trial peak and looked down at the 100 Kimiko Hoshino. The 100 geniuses of the Star Billow Divine Realm knew that the most crucial moment had arrived. They were all nervous and excited. Bai Holan glanced at Su Fang and smiled faintly. A trace of disdain flashed in his deep eyes. In the ranking battle that's about to begin, I will make you reveal your true colors. This young master wants to see what right you have to take first place in the 3 tests. Song Jie, Zhou Kuanga, and the others all looked at Su Fang. The challenge in their eyes could not be more obvious. They were not willing to submit to anyone. They wanted to ruthlessly trample Su Fang under their feet in the upcoming ranking battle to improve their reputation. To prevent any accidents, the rules of the ranking battle have been changed. Listen up, the Star Billow Realm Lord said majestically. The geniuses on the peak all revealed looks of surprise. 9 truths, 9 suns. Why would the rules of the ranking battle be changed for no reason? To prevent any accidents? What kind of accidents were they guarding against? Kimiko Hoshino's ranking method is not the battle between the godchildren, but the path of mist. The Star Billow Realm Lord ignored the reactions of the geniuses and continued slowly. The Path of Mist? Chapter 1955. Kimiko Hoshino, in addition to strength, has a tenacious Tao heart, outstanding talent, and comprehension of the heavenly Tao. Plus and 8 plus and 8 plus and reading plus and book. Oh, the fact that you were able to pass the previous 3 tests is enough to prove your strength. The upcoming ranking competition is precisely to test your Tao heart, natural talent, and comprehension of the Heaven Tao. The so-called Mist Tao is comprehending the Tao. Lord Zhu Yanjun from the star field will use a supreme ability to create the 1,000 illusions mist domain to test you. Zhu Yanjun, the realm master of the greater realm, was actually preparing to personally create the so-called 1,000 illusions mist realm to test the Star Billow Godson. Although the geniuses didn't know what the 1,000 illusions mist domain and the mist Tao were, they were all eager to try. If they performed well this time, it would be the same as walking into the eyes of Zhu Yanjun, an expert of the star field. Their future achievements would no longer be limited to the star below God realm. Zhu Yanjun immediately formed a hand seal. As the hand seals changed, an ethereal and illusory aura of the great Tao lingered, intoxicating all the geniuses. The cloud Tao condensed the mist into a myriad of great Taos. Thousand illusions mist domain form. Zhu Yanjun suddenly formed a hand seal. In an instant, thick mist immediately floated in the air, covering the God-Child tablet and the space between the trial peak and the God-Child tablet. Thousand illusions mist domain. It seemed to be an extremely ordinary cloud, yet as it roiled, boundless changes of the grand Tao were contained within it, and it was mysterious and unfathomable. Luo, do you know what kind of great Tao divine ability Zhu Yanjun is using? Su Fang was shocked and asked Luo secretly. A type of water great Tao, the cloud Tao. This great Tao is very strange and unpredictable. It's known for its ability to create illusions and maze formations, and it's very rare. Zhu Yanjun is able to cultivate the cloud Tao to this level and create a mist that simulates and changes the great Tao. This person is extraordinary and can be considered a true expert in the universe. Law also exclaimed in admiration, admiring Zhu Yanjun's supreme divine ability. At this time, Zhu Yanjun said, "Cultivators and cultivators are like groping their way forward in the fog. Tao heart, talent, and fortune are all indispensable. I created the thousand illusions mist realm with my supreme power so that you can find your own path of cultivation in this mist. From the peak of the trial mountain to the deity's tablet, searching for the path of mist is actually the process of you exploring the great Tao. You can comprehend your own great Tao from the transformations of my divine ability and obtain supreme benefits from it. Therefore, this is not only a test for you, but also a stroke of good fortune. I hope you can cherish it. Within 100 years, you will have 3 chances to walk this path of mist. Remember, if your Tao heart is not firm enough, your cultivation level is not high enough, and you are unable to find your own path of mist Tao, you will be lost in the thousand illusions mist domain. If you lose all 3 chances, you will lose the chance to be ranked." Zhu Yanjun's words lifted the spirits of all the geniuses, and their eyes lit up as they looked at the mist. Cultivators and cultivators were constantly climbing the peak, overcoming all kinds of difficulties and dangers, and finally reaching the supreme peak. However, for cultivators, the most dangerous thing was not enemies and dangers, but not being able to see the path of cultivation clearly. On the path of cultivation, the slightest mistake could lead to 1,000 miles of deviation. The slightest mistake could lead to a stagnant progress, or a serious mistake could lead to falling off a cliff and being smashed to pieces. The final ranking battle of the Kimiko Hoshino competition was actually so strange. Although it did not seem dangerous, for many geniuses, it was more challenging than a bloody battle. If they could use Zhu Yanjun's supreme divine ability to see the direction of their cultivation and find their own path of cultivation, it would definitely be a great fortune for these geniuses. Bai Holan suddenly asked, "Lord Heavenly Lord, there are thousands of great Taos. How do you determine which is the highest and which is the lowest, and thus determine the ranking?" For cultivators and cultivators there are indeed many great Taos. However, those who can truly step onto the supreme peak of the great Taos are few and far between. Only those who can condense a mist path to the Shensi tablet in the thousand illusions mist domain created by me and leave a primordial spirit imprint on the Shensi tablet have completed the test. In the end, the height of the imprint on the Shensi tablet and the speed at which you reach the Shensi tablet will determine your results, and thus your ranking. Zhu Yanjun explained tirelessly. Only then is it fair. Thank you for your explanation, Lord Heavenly Lord. Bai Holan cupped his fists at Zhu Yanjun. Then, he looked at Su Fang and smiled faintly. This way, we won't have to worry about anyone cheating. This time, someone's going to reveal his true colors. He's only in the heavenly God realm and has just touched the threshold of the great Taoist. How far can he go in the thousand illusions mist domain? It'll be a miracle if he can reach the Shensi tablet. It's impossible for him to surpass us like he did in the previous 3 tests. There was a burst of whispers on the mountain peak. Many geniuses mocked and ridiculed Su Fang, venting their dissatisfaction and jealousy towards Su Fang. In the space of the stands, the finals of the Shensi battle had been going on for nearly 50 years, and no one had left in the middle. Those who could enter the space of the stands were all powerful gods. 50 years to them was about the same as 5 days for mortals. No one wanted to miss such a grand event, so they naturally had the patience to do so. Now that the 100 divine sons of Star Below Star had been determined, no one would miss out on the upcoming ranking battle. Numerous attentive gazes fell on the peak of the trial peak. However, when the Star Below Realm Lord and Zhu Yanjun announced the rules, everyone was curious, but there were also many who were disappointed. Why was that? In the previous 3 tests, Su Fang stood out. He was the first to pass the 3 tests in a row. Everyone was initially shocked and doubtful, but now they were full of anticipation. Especially Kuan Su's divine sect, as well as some experts from various forces who hurried over. All of them hoped to see Su Fang create a miracle. The rules of the Kimiko Hoshino ranking battle suddenly changed. It was no longer a competition of strength between the Shensi, but a test of talent, Tao heart, and the ability to comprehend the great Taoist. Such a method of competition was naturally very disadvantageous for Heavenly God Realm God. Heavenly God Realm Gods had just touched the edge of the great Taoist. Their mastery of nature and comprehension of the great Taoist were far inferior to divine Emperor Realm Gods. Among the 100 Kimiko Hoshino, there were many Heavenly God Realm Gods, and Su Fang's 8th Heaven God Realm was at the bottom. In the previous 3 tests, facing the demon race, and resurrected experts, Su Fang could win first place with his divine artifact and supreme divine ability. In the ranking battle, divine artifact and divine ability were useless. It was hard to say whether Uebwa Hoshino could make it to the Shensi monument and leave his primordial spirit mark, let alone create a miracle. It's a wasted trip. Let's go. Some of the experts who had come specifically for Su Fang got up and left one after another. Xianlingzi, Kuan Su, and other senior members of Kuan Su's divine sect were more or less disappointed. However, Su Fang could become Kimiko Hoshino. Even if he was ranked 100, they would not be too disappointed. The 100 geniuses sat down cross-legged on the trial peak. Each of them stared intently at the heavy clouds in front of them. From the changing great Taoist, they kept exploring and deducing to find a path to the Shensi monument. This path was the path of Fog Dao, and at the same time, it was the direction of their cultivation in the future. Through the appearance of the clouds, one could see traces of heavenly Tao aura flowing and evolving into great Taoist. Although it was an illusion created by a supreme divine power and not the real great path, it was not easy for a divine Emperor Realm deity to see through the layers of fog and find a path. However, once these geniuses could comprehend it, the benefits to them were self-evident. 6 hours later, a peak 9th Heaven God Realm genius suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. He had used up too much of his heart energy and fainted on the spot. Puff, puff, puff. Another 2 geniuses spat out blood on the spot. Their auras became weak. The other geniuses did not dare to be careless. They all closed their eyes to recover and comprehend what they had gained from the 1,000 illusions fog domain. Like the other geniuses, Su Fang sat cross-legged on the ground and stared intently at the changing clouds. But unlike the other geniuses, when Su Fang executed the heaven-prying eye, the yin and yang vortex formed from the heaven flow profundity scripture in his mind was ceaselessly revolving, and it emitted waves of void divine might that deduced the heaven Tao. Traces of the clouds were peeled off by Su Fang like silk being peeled off from a cocoon. After a series of deductions, he gained more insights in his heart at the same time. Finally, it turned into a comprehension of the great Tao. Soon, Su Fang's eyes were bloodshot. His eyes were so red that it looked like blood was about to drip out. His body was also full of exhaustion. Although the power of his primordial spirit was strong enough, and at the same time, he had the supreme ability to communicate with the purple Chi Dharma spirit and control heaven and earth. However, using the heavenly mystery scripture was a great test for his primordial spirit and Tao heart. Time after time, not only did it consume his heart energy, but it also consumed Su Fang's fortune. The heavenly Tao was unfathomable. Prying into the heavenly Tao would result in a backlash from the heavenly Tao and a loss of fortune. 9 true 9 sons. Fortunately, the purple Chi Dharma spirit brought him supreme fortune. The loss of fortune from using the heavenly mystery scripture was still within an acceptable range. A day later, Su Fang had to stop and use the immortal soul code to cultivate his primordial spirit to recover the huge consumption. The other geniuses had to close their eyes and cultivate for at least 4 to 6 hours. Otherwise, they would exceed their limit. In this way, the 100 geniuses all settled in their comprehension of the great Taos. About 3 months later. Suddenly. Chapter 1956. This is the great Tao of Earth. It turned out that Su Fang had clearly found a direct path to the Divine Child Tablet from the Thousand Illusions fog mirror created by Zhu Yanjun's remarkable power. 8. Read Book 2? 3. This meant that he had removed the layers of fog and found the cultivation direction of the great Tao of Earth. His understanding of the great Tao of Earth had also reached a new height. However, to truly master the great Tao of Earth, he still needed to go through the process of proving his Tao. No! The great Tao of Earth is not the path of cultivation that I want to take. Then Su Fang's eyebrows furrowed again. After pondering for a while, he began to deduce again. At this moment, buzz, the destiny runes of the life-shrinking technique and the true runes of the heavenly mystery solution suddenly flashed rapidly, indicating that a great danger was about to befall. Su Fang's divine light changed instantly, and he leaped up from the ground. Crack! A faint golden lightning flashed out of the void, carrying the aura of a heavenly tribulation. It brushed past Su Fang's head and landed on the mountain peak with a loud explosion. It turned out that Su Fang had used the heavenly mystery solution to deduce the heavenly Tao and finally suffered a strong backlash from the heavenly Tao, attracting the power of a lightning punishment. Fortunately, Su Fang had the supreme luck brought by the purple cloud Dharma spirit and was protected by the heavenly Tao. Therefore, the lightning punishment that descended was not very powerful. It was more of a warning than a punishment from the heavenly Tao. In addition, Su Fang had predicted the danger and dodged in advance. The lightning punishment only burned a strand of his hair, but he was also quite frightened at the same time. However, the sound of the lightning striking the mountain peak was incomparably shocking. Coupled with the fact that all the geniuses were in a state of full concentration to comprehend the Grand Tao, this thunderclap was like a thunderclap that shook the heavens when it entered their ears, and it alarmed everyone. Not only did their eardrums almost burst from the thunderclap, even their minds were greatly shocked. Puff, 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 most people were caught off guard and spat out a mouthful of blood. Bai Holan, Song Jie, and the others were no exception. Their cultivations were extremely high, and their natural talent was extremely extraordinary. Thus, their state of comprehension of the Grand Tao was even deeper. Bai Holan and the others almost had their Tao hearts crumble when they were frightened by the thunderous roar. The amount of blood they spat out was much more than the others. What happened? Why is there a lightning tribulation? Could it be that someone's breakthrough attracted a primal chaos deity tribulation? If I find out who made such a big commotion, I swear to kill them. Before anyone could react, Su Fang had already sat down cross-legged. No one knew that he was the culprit. They were all shocked and furious, but they had nowhere to vent their anger. After waiting for less than half a day, there were no more unusual occurrences. Only then did everyone feel at ease, and they once again settled into the state of comprehending the Grand Tao. Su Fang also sat down cross-legged again. This time, he was much more careful. He slowly activated his heaven-prying eye. When he saw that there was no lightning punishment, he began to deduce again. The scene on the mountain peak couldn't escape the eyes of Zhu Yanjun, Qishao Shenjun, and the others. What is Mo Fenghua doing? He actually attracted a lightning tribulation? The Star Billow Realm Lord was shocked and astonished. Zhu Yanjun's power of perception swept over Su Fang's body. Sensing the mysterious aura of deduction on Su Fang's body, Zhu Yanjun said in a deep voice, "He is using a supreme divine ability to deduce this Lord's divine ability, peeking at the heavenly Tao. Because he peeked at the secrets of heaven, he attracted the heavenly tribulation." The Star Billow Realm Lord and Qishao Shenjun were both shocked. To be able to deduce the heavenly Tao, what kind of supreme divine ability was this? When they thought of Su Fang's various extraordinary performances, including Zhu Yanjun's, the more they looked at Su Fang, the more mysterious he was. How can Mo Fenghua be so despicable? He has no hope of success, so he purposely attracted lightning to disturb others. Such behavior is simply shameless, too shameless. The billions of people in the stands were constantly watching the mountain peak. Naturally, the scene of Su Fang attracting a lightning tribulation couldn't escape their eyes. However, the crowd couldn't see through it. They thought that Su Fang was purposely causing a big commotion to disturb other geniuses. As a result, the crowd's impression of Su Fang immediately fell. There were also many people who cursed Su Fang for being despicable and shameless. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, nearly half a year had passed. I understand now. Wild laughter suddenly came from the mountain peak. It was the Star Billow Realm's genius, Zhou Kuanga. I have already seen through the great Tao that I cultivate. The title of the number one godchild of the Star Billow Realm belongs to me, Zhou Kuanga. Zhou Kuanga proudly stood up under the shocked and envious gazes. Then, he stepped into the air and entered the heavy mist. Zhou Kuanga's body emitted a wild and domineering aura of the great Tao. As the mist rolled, a path quickly formed under his feet. However, after walking for more than 100 feet, Zhou Kuanga was surrounded by layers of mist. Clearly, he didn't understand enough to advance to the Divine Child tablet. Arrogant and overconfident. Why aren't you going back? Shouted Zhu Yanjun coldly. The clouds rolled, and Zhou Kuanga was sucked back to the peak of the mountain. Zhou Kuanga made a fool of himself in front of everyone. He couldn't wait to find a hole to hide in. The mountain peak returned to calm. The great Tao of fire isn't my path of cultivation either. Su Fang frowned and thought hard. He repeatedly deduced. I used the heavenly divination solution to deduce that whether it's the earth Tao or the fire Tao, it's not difficult to find a path through the mist to reach the Divine Child tablet. However, whether it's the earth Tao or the fire Tao, neither is the path of cultivation I want to take. I cultivated the 9 changes of the 9 suns and formed the heaven and earth Tao palace. My body formed a universe of its own. At the same time, I also have the chaotic divine personality. Therefore, the path of cultivation I want to take is the supreme heavenly Tao. No matter how powerful Zhu Yanjun's divine powers are, she can't create the supreme heavenly Tao with her divine powers of the path of mist. No matter how many paths there are in the mist, none of them belong to me. I can only open up a path that belongs to Su Fang. Su Fang's eyes were filled with understanding. At the same time, his heart was clear. He didn't search in the mist anymore. Instead, he activated the chaotic divine personality's ability to communicate with the chaos and encompass thousands of great Tao. At the same time, he also used the heavenly divination solution to encompass the entire mist in his heart and open up a path that wasn't in the mist. Who would have thought that this would lead to even more trouble? Crack! A faint golden lightning as thick as an arm descended from the void with a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth. It was more than 10 times stronger than the lightning punishment from before. When the power of the thunder punishment appeared, Su Fang received a warning from the heaven's secret life shrinking technique and the heaven's mystery unravel. The moment the power of the thunder punishment enveloped him, his body instantly moved away. Rumble! The lightning violently struck the peak of the mountain, causing a huge tremor. A few geniuses that were 30 meters away were sent flying by the aftershocks of the explosion. Lightning flickered all over their bodies, causing them to tremble. Although they weren't seriously injured, they still lost a layer of skin. The other geniuses were also sent flying a foot off the ground. PFFF. PFFF. The geniuses who were disturbed all vomited blood at the same time. They were all terrified and furious. Mo Fenghua. It's Mo Fenghua's doing. Su Fang wasn't as lucky as last time. Unfortunately, he was discovered by a few geniuses and exposed on the spot. This bastard must have done it on purpose. Kill him! Everyone has the right to kill such a despicable person. Everyone, including Bai Holan, was burning with rage as they let out a deafening roar. I didn't do it on purpose. I definitely didn't do it on purpose. Su Fang didn't feel wronged and hurriedly explained. However, how could the geniuses give him a chance to explain? Despicable and shameless Mo Fenghua, die. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The geniuses surrounded Su Fang. Their gazes alone could kill. In the next moment, they were about to explode with rage and burn Su Fang alive. Enough. Zhu Yanjun's dignified voice sounded. Mo Fenghua didn't do it on purpose. Everyone return to your original positions. If anyone dares to move, Kamiko Hoshino's identity will be revoked. Who dared to disobey Zhu Yanjun's decree? Although the geniuses hated Su Fang to the core, they had no choice but to return to their original positions. After the previous 2 lessons, the geniuses were all on tenterhooks and didn't have the heart to comprehend anything. If Su Fang did it a few more times, even if they weren't scared to death, they would go crazy. Bai Holan was filled with hatred towards Zhu Yanjun. I, Bai Holan, am one of the 10 great young masters of the star field. What is that, Mo Fenghua? Zhu Yanjun actually protected him. Mo Fenghua's first place in the 3 stages must have been because of Zhu Yanjun's help. I will use this mist path to prove that I, Bai Holan, am the #1 genius of the star below God realm. I will definitely have a place among the god children of the star field. Song Jie, on the other hand, looked at Su Fang with a cold gaze from time to time, like a bloodthirsty ferocious beast eyeing its prey. Zhou Kuanga, piercing metal, and the other geniuses all looked at Su Fang with unkind eyes. Su Fang felt wronged. I really didn't do it on purpose. Why are they treating me like this? That brat Mo Fenghua is simply a disaster. The Star Below Realm Master didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Then, the Star Below Realm Master created a protective formation that completely isolated the geniuses from Su Fang. Now, even if the trial peak collapsed, these geniuses wouldn't be affected. Unknowingly, another 50 years passed. Along the way, many geniuses left the peak of the trial mountain and entered the clouds. However, the great Tao was vast and boundless. How difficult was it to find a path that led directly to the destination? After entering the clouds and condensing the mist path, the furthest one walked was less than 30 meters, and the closest one was only 50 or 60 meters. In the end, one would fall into the heavy clouds and be blocked by the mist. If Zhu Yanjun hadn't sent the failed geniuses back to the peak in time, these people would have been lost in the mist and lost their cultivation path. In these 50 years, Su Fang had also been immersed in his deduction. Chapter 1957. Another 30 years passed. Other than Su Fang, Bai Holan and Song Jie, everyone else tried. Some of them even tried twice, but both times ended in failure. However, There were also people who managed to create a path of mist within the Thousand Illusions mist domain. They were only a few meters away from the Divine Child Monument and had almost reached the end. As for how high they could reach, that would depend on their understanding of the Great Tao. On this day, Bai Holan suddenly stood up and walked out of the protective formation with a confident smile on his face. Almost at the same time, Song Jie suddenly laughed and stood up from the ground. He strode out of the formation. Everyone was startled. Bai Holan and Song Jie are going to enter the Thousand Illusions mist domain at the same time. Which of these two peerless geniuses can reach the highest point of the Divine Child Monument? Everyone stopped trying to comprehend and walked out of the formation. Song Jie looked at Bai Holan with eyes full of challenge and said, "Bai Holan, it looks like you're sure to win this time? Creating a path of mist to the Divine Child Monument in the Thousand Illusions mist domain is a piece of cake for me. I just wanted to find a path of mist to reach the highest point of the Divine Child Monument, so it took me some time." Bai Holan spoke indifferently, and his casual tone carried a strand of supreme arrogance and lofty domineering aura. "You think you can reach the highest point of the Divine Child Monument, and I, Song Jie, think so too. Why don't we have a competition? The winner will be the #1 Divine Child of the Star Below God realm. How about that? I'm afraid the result will disappoint you and even hurt your Tao heart." Bai Holan smiled faintly and was about to walk toward the Thousand Illusions mist domain. Right at this moment, the aura of a heavenly tribulation suddenly appeared, followed by a flash of lightning. A bolt of lightning as thick as a bowl landed on the mountain peak with a loud bang. Su Fang's body suddenly flashed with a golden rainbow and disappeared from where the lightning flashed. Sky-shaking thunder rumbled as a terrifying lightning divine aura swept out in all directions, sending the geniuses flying. Some of the geniuses who were closer to the lightning had their bodies shattered by the violent lightning energy, and they had almost died. Bai Holan and Song Jie, who were just about to move, staggered under such a sudden impact. "Mo Fenghua, it's you again." After a short period of silence, the peak of the training peak was instantly filled with a monstrous killing intent as furious roars sounded out one after another. Whoosh! Whoosh! One figure after another flew toward Su Fang with an explosive aura. "I didn't do it on purpose, I really didn't do it on purpose." "Who told you to walk out of the formation without permission?" "Stop, don't think that I, Mo Fenghua, am easy to bully." Su Fangda shouted loudly to defend himself, but who would listen to his explanation? Su Fang had no choice but to take out the Xianming Thunder Archive and activate the Earthshaker Boots and the Winged Divine Weapon. Suddenly, Su Fang's divine light changed in an instant. The Winged Divine Artifact was waving rapidly behind him. His body shot out like an arrow. The expressions of the numerous geniuses charging toward Su Fang changed drastically as they all retreated hastily. The speed at which they retreated was several times faster than the speed at which they had charged. Another bolt of lightning flashed, and a bolt of lightning as thick as an arm struck the spot where Su Fang had disappeared. The numerous geniuses all revealed expressions of terror and no longer dared to approach Su Fang. They all had the same thought in their hearts. "This person is dangerous, don't approach him." The spectators' stands were completely silent. "Why didn't you strike this bastard to death?" Ji Xingyue gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with disappointment. When Mo Fenghua dodged the lightning tribulation for the first time, that golden rainbow that appeared on his body, could it be the sky-piercing rainbow shuttle? Among the crowd, a pair of eyes stared fixedly at Su Fang. It was Jiang Baozhen of the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. He had seen some clues from the golden rainbow that flashed on Su Fang's body, and his heart was instantly filled with shock. In an inconspicuous corner of the spectators' stands, a silver-robed elder from Sanskrit had been paying attention to Su Fang's every move since the beginning. Beside the silver-robed elder sat a middle-aged man. Although he was dressed as a follower, he had a bold and powerful face, sharp eyebrows, starry eyes, and a beard like steel needles. He was clearly not an ordinary person. Shinja Tianjun. For so many years, Shinja Tianjun had left an avatar in the turbid cloud divine realm to pursue Su Fang's whereabouts, but to no avail. Mo Fenghua's heaven-defying rise had finally attracted Shinja Tianjun's attention. This time, he had accompanied the silver-robed elder to the star-billow divine realm to investigate Su Fang's background. This child is indeed a little suspicious. Shinja Tianjun revealed a puzzled expression, but he didn't dare to be certain. The chaos on the mountain peak infuriated the star-billow realm master. After being tormented by Su Fang a few times, the originally serious godchild ranking battle had suddenly changed. If this happened a few more times, how could they continue? Although the star-billow realm master knew that this matter couldn't be blamed on Su Fang, he definitely wouldn't allow him to continue. He shouted in a deep voice, "Mo Fenghua, did you comprehend your way of mist from the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm? If you did, enter the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm. As you command, Realm Master." Su Fang cupped his fists at the star-billow realm master from afar, then slowly flew out of the trial peak. Comprehending the way in the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm can't help but be a little boring. With such a clown as a distraction, isn't it interesting? Bai Holan chuckled and dismissed the idea of entering the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm. He looked at Su Fang with a mocking expression. Who knows, he might be able to surpass the two of us and reach the highest point of the God-Child Monument. Song Jie laughed strangely, a cruel and cold light flashing in his eyes. Piercing Metal shouted disdainfully, "If Mo Fenghua can walk 30 meters in the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm, I, Piercing Metal, will find a piece of tofu and kill myself." On the mountain peak, a wave of ridicule and abuse sounded out. The Star-Billow Realm Master shook his head and smiled. Clearly, he didn't think that Su Fang could walk far in the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm. Qishao Shinjun and Zhu Yanjun raised their spirits and stared at Su Fang without blinking. They hoped that they could see the depth of Su Fang's performance this time. "Then I'll break through a unique path of mist in the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm." Su Fang laughed in a domineering manner. He stepped into the Thousand Illusions fog mirror with a heroic and domineering aura that showed no hesitation. These words that carried a lofty and domineering aura made the trial peak roar with laughter again. Zhu Yanjun also smiled slightly. "It's good to have ambition, but I'm afraid of biting off more than you can chew. In the end, you'll only be ridiculed." The mist in the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm was created by Zhu Yanjun with a supreme divine ability. It simulated the heavenly Tao and contained countless great Taos. It was equivalent to a miniature illusion of the heavenly Tao. Although it was only the appearance of some great Taos, every wisp of mist contained the profound meaning of the laws. Only when one had a certain level of comprehension of a great Tao could they condense a path of mist from the mist. Su Fang took a step forward and the mist around him surged and quickly condensed into a clump of yellow cloud under his feet. The great Tao of Earth? Zhu Yanjun could see that the great Tao contained in the mist that Su Fang summoned was the great Tao of Earth. The Star-Billow Realm Master said, "According to my investigation, Mo Fenghua's godhead is an Earth-rank mid-rank Earth-rank godhead. It's not strange that he comprehended the great Tao of Earth from the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm. Although an Earth-rank godhead is extraordinary, his future achievements will be limited to the Star-Billow Realm. The path of mist that he condenses will definitely not reach the level of the Divine Child Monument." Qishao Shinjun said doubtfully, "I'm afraid it won't be that simple. Let's wait and see." After walking for more than 100 feet, the cloud under Su Fang's feet grew bigger and bigger. It meant that his comprehension of the great Tao of Earth had reached its limit. On the peak of the trial peak, sounds of ridicule and abuse swept out without the slightest restraint. In the spectator stands, everyone was very disappointed. Su Fang stopped and suddenly shouted, This path does not belong to me. It's fine if I don't walk it. Zhu Yanjun said majestically, your godhead is of the earth attribute. If you don't walk the great Tao of earth, what kind of path can you walk? Su Fang said domineeringly, Heavenly Monarch, the 1,000 illusions mist realm you created and the mist paths are all paths that have been walked by others. They do not belong to me, Mo Fenghua. It's fine if I don't walk it. I want to open a path of mist that belongs to me in the 1,000 illusions mist realm. Zhu Yanjun was stunned for a moment before she sneered. Arrogant. You overestimate yourself. Many geniuses shouted angrily. Cultivators and cultivators do not follow the rules. Instead, they should be unrestrained. Even if the path ahead is full of thorns, they should move forward fearlessly. They should not be overcautious and follow the example of those who have come before them. Although the path of those who have come before them is smooth, fast, and not dangerous, they can only reach the height of those who have come before them. They can never reach the peak. Following the rules and sticking to the rules is inferior. Mediocrity and mediocrity will become nothing in the end. Peerless geniuses should be fearless of the dangers ahead. If they meet gods, they will kill gods. If they meet devils, they will kill devils. If they meet gods, they will kill gods. If they meet devils, they will slay devils. If they meet enemies, they will be able to reach the peak. Those who don't walk the normal path are geniuses. Those who follow the rules and follow the path of those who have come before are all mediocre. Su Fang's voice was filled with an unparalleled domineering aura and an unparalleled sense of heroism that arose spontaneously from him. As his voice rang out, Zhu Yanjun, Qishao Shinjun, and the Star Billow Realm Lord's divine light changed. Following the rules and regulations will become nothing in the end. After being shocked, the eyes of the three experts gradually revealed expressions of understanding. They had actually comprehended something from Su Fang's words. This is the true side of Senior. The three divine kings had heard similar words from Su Fang before. However, it was far from being as clear and thorough as this. They suddenly felt a sense of enlightenment in their hearts, and their admiration for Su Fang grew. The many geniuses at the peak of the trial peak were unable to understand anything from Su Fang's words because their realms were not high enough. They immediately burst into laughter. However, Bai Holan's body shook. Su Fang's words were like a sudden clap of thunder exploding in his head. He faintly felt that the comprehension he had gained from the 1,000 illusions mist domain just now was wrong. Song Jie's eyes burst with light. Soon after, he coldly shouted, Mo Fenghua, you're clearly trying to break my Tao heart. Who doesn't know how to boast? Walk out a mist path that belongs to you in the 1,000 illusions mist domain and let me see. As you wish. Chapter 1958. As Su Fang took a step forward, an invisible aura burst out from his body. Is an element of 8, is an element of 8, is an element of reading, is an element of book. 2 infinity 3. Oh, this aura was normal in the eyes of ordinary people. It made Su Fang look no different from ordinary people. It was as if all of his brilliance had disappeared. Ordinary gods could see everything in the universe from Su Fang's aura. Wind, rain, thunder, lightning, flowers blooming and withering, wind blowing and clouds moving. Everything in nature could be found in it. Gods in the divine emperor realm like Xian Lingzi and Kuan Su sensed a kind of supreme heavenly way aura. Heaven and earth were opened and the galaxy flowed. In the sensing power of experts like Zhu Yanjun, the great Tao contained in Su Fang's aura was not the great Tao of gold, wood, water, fire, earth, or thunder. It was not the great Tao of swordsmanship, Dominator Tao, Formation Tao, or any other great Tao. Contained all the great Tao in the universe. The great Tao cultivated by billions of gods could be found in the peak of the Trial Mountain, the space of the stands, and the space of the Dharma treasures. However, this scene was like an illusion. Boom, boom, boom. Under countless gazes, Su Fang stepped forward step by step. The clouds in front of him rolled and quickly opened up a passage. The clouds under his feet were also condensing quickly. These clouds were not the great Tao of earth or great Tao of fire that Su Fang cultivated. They did not belong to any great Tao, but they contained all great Tao. It looked like Su Fang was stepping on auspicious clouds, taking large strides as he headed straight for the peak. In the foggy Thousand Illusions fog realm, Su Fang seemed to be taking a stroll in the park. With an indescribable confidence and calmness, he walked forward without hesitation. The clouds around him rolled as if they were worshipping and submitting to him. A dozen breaths later, Su Fang pushed the clouds aside and the entire Divine Sun tablet appeared in front of him. He reached out his right hand and slapped the top of the Divine Sun tablet. A stream of Dharma power and vital spirit aura was injected into it. The originally empty Divine Sun tablet suddenly emitted thousands of rays of bright golden light that shot into the sky. Under the illumination of the golden light, Su Fang was like a divine sun, slowly rising into the sky and shining with boundless radiance. Then, the golden light shrunk into the Divine Child tablet and condensed into 3 golden words. Mo Fenghua. The hundreds of millions of gods in the grandstand space, the 99 geniuses on the Trial Mountain, Zhu Yanjun, Qishao Shinjun, the Star Billow Realm Master, and many other higher echelons of the Star Billow God Realm were rendered speechless for a moment. About 5 breaths later, Mo Fenghua. He was the first to condense the Tao of Mist and reach the Divine Child Monument. He even left his name at the highest point of the monument. Mo Fenghua, Xinglan's #1 Divine Child. The exclamations of hundreds of millions of people shook the sky. This is my grandson, Xianlingzi, ha ha ha. Xianlingzi pointed at Su Fang and laughed out loud. Who knew that as he laughed, he fell to the ground and fainted from excitement, scaring the people of Kuan Su's divine sect. Ji Xingyue's eyes were filled with shock and jealousy. How could this bastard be able to do this? Xinjia Tianjun revealed a smile, but his eyes were filled with killing intent. Su Fang, I've finally found you. I didn't expect that my Star Billow God Realm would produce such a peerless genius. The Star Billow Realm Master's eyes flashed with a hearty light, surprised and excited. Qishao Shinjun transmitted his voice to Zhu Yanjun. Heavenly Lord, we should be able to conclude that this child is the peerless genius who was accepted into the Primordial Chaos Golden Ranking by Master Wuji, right? Zhu Yanjun nodded and said, this child is extraordinary and indeed has the qualifications to be listed on the Primordial Chaos Golden Ranking. If carefully nurtured, he can represent the star field's geniuses and participate in the geniuses of the universe. Then, Zhu Yanjun revealed an envious expression. Qishao, you've presided over the Kamiko Hoshino Summit competition this time and selected such a peerless genius for the star field. The Region Master will definitely reward you heavily. I congratulate you in advance. Qishao Shinjun was very happy in his heart, but he didn't dare to be conceited in front of Zhu Yanjun. He said politely, Heavenly Lord should take credit for being able to select Mo Fenghua. How could I dare to be greedy? Zhu Yanjun smiled in satisfaction and looked at Su Fang as if looking at a peerless treasure. Qishao Shinjun immediately ordered one of his subordinates behind him. Go, release that crane demon and treat him as an honored guest. Then, Zhu Yanjun released a divine might and sent Su Fang back to the peak of the trial peak. A voice came from the depths of Su Fang's body. Su Fang, you just revealed the aura of the world in your body and the primal chaos divine spark. I'm afraid it will bring you a lot of trouble. Chapter 1959. Something's wrong. Zhu Yanjun noticed that Su Fang, who was sitting cross-legged at the top of the mountain, had a sneer full of mockery on the corner of his mouth. She instantly understood. 8 square root read square root book, 230 greater or equal to Qishao, Shinjun asked in surprise. Heavenly Lord, what's wrong? Zhu Yanjun replied. What Mo Fenghua said before wasn't unintentional. It was intentional. Qishao Shinjuan's expression changed. Then, Qishao Shinjun was in disbelief. Heavenly Lord, are you saying that Mo Fenghua said those bold words on purpose to shake the Tao hearts of those geniuses? That's right. If that's really the case, then this kid is really scheming and ruthless. It's really shocking. Qishao Shinjuan's heart skipped a beat. The Tao heart was the most important thing for cultivators. If one's Tao heart was firm, they would be able to overcome all obstacles and overcome all obstacles. If one's Tao heart wasn't stable, how could they cultivate? Su Fang actually used such a method to disturb the Tao hearts of those geniuses and make them hesitate. Not to mention the other things, just the divine prince's ranking alone would make them hesitate. Before this, Bai Holan, Song Jie and the other geniuses not only attacked and mocked Su Fang, but also tried to kill Su Fang many times. Su Fang took revenge without leaving any traces. His methods were really ruthless. This kid is really a vengeful guy. He cleverly set up such a big trap and trapped all the geniuses inside. Those geniuses are really unlucky to have offended him. Even peerless geniuses like Bai Holan and Song Jie were unknowingly tricked by him, and their Tao hearts were damaged. Qishao Shinjun smiled wryly. Thinking about the prehistoric inflammation that he had planned to fight for Su Fang, Qishao Shinjun felt a chill down his spine. He didn't know if the Su Fang was still holding a grudge over this matter. If that was the case, he would have to be careful in the future. He didn't want to fall into the trap that the Su Fang had set for him. While the geniuses at the top of the trial peak were still hesitating, Zhu Yanjun's thunderous voice resounded from the peak. A bunch of idiots, do you really think you are some kind of peerless genius? What Mo Fenghua said is right. Geniuses walk an extraordinary path. You bunch of mediocre people can't walk that extraordinary path. Don't tell me you don't know how to walk? All the geniuses seemed to have been enlightened, and they immediately woke up from their hesitation. However, Zhu Yanjun's words made them look ashamed. Song Jie shouted loudly, "If a heavenly deity realm ant like Mo Fenghua can do it, why can't I, Song Jie, do it? I'm unwilling, I'm not convinced." That's because Mo Fenghua is a true peerless genius. He can condense an unprecedented mist Tao in the thousand illusions mist realm. While mediocre people must have self-awareness, and it's best to follow the rules. Otherwise, there will be no path to walk. Zhu Yanjun's words were like an incomparably resounding slap on Song Jie's face. Song Jie was immediately rendered speechless. The other geniuses, including Bai Holan, were all called mediocre by Zhu Yanjun. Each and every one of them had ugly expressions. These geniuses, especially Bai Holan, which one wasn't a proud and arrogant person whose heart was higher than the heavens. They thought that they could trample all the geniuses in the myriad worlds under their feet. At this time, compared to Su Fang, each and every one of them became mediocre people. How could they accept it? Mo Fenghua's words seem reasonable, but in reality, it's absurd to the extreme. Zhu Yanjun glared fiercely at Su Fang, then said slowly, "Although each of you has extraordinary talent on the path of cultivation right now, you're like children who just started learning how to walk. Think about it for a moment. How can children who can't even walk cut through the thorns and walk that extraordinary path? Those painters who just started learning how to paint, which one of them didn't start from the most basic painting skills and then copy the masterpieces of the masters? Only then would they finally form their own style. Your cultivation level is too low, so you're thinking of walking that extraordinary path. It's already very fortunate that you didn't fall off the cliff. Now you're still hesitating and indecisive. Isn't it laughable?" Many geniuses suddenly came to a realization, and their hearts became much more cheerful. However, when they looked at Su Fang, their eyes revealed dissatisfaction and doubt. The audacious Song Jie directly said what was in the minds of many geniuses. Why can Mo Fenghua do it, but we can't? I suspect it's the same as the previous 3 stages. He's cheating. Lord Heavenly Monarch is inevitably biased towards Mo Fenghua. You dare to be impudent in front of this lord and question this lord just because you have some talent? Zhu Yanjun's voice was like a thunderclap that struck Song Jie's chest. Crack, crack. Song Jie's chest bones were shattered, and his internal organs were shaken. He couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood and sat on the ground dispiritedly. What kind of person was Zhu Yanjun? How could she allow Song Jie to be impudent in front of her and challenge her dignity in front of everyone? Every cultivator has their own path of cultivation. However, everything is predestined. Which cultivator isn't bound by the will of heaven? It's like an ant and a goshawk. As long as an ant perseveres, it can climb to the peak of a mountain like a goshawk. However, have any of you seen an ant soaring in the sky like a goshawk? An ant is an ant. It's impossible for it to soar in the sky like a goshawk. You're like an ant, and Mo Fenghua is that goshawk. Mo Fenghua was able to walk an extraordinary path in the Thousand Illusions Mist realm. His future achievements can only be looked up to by all of you. As for you, it's better for you to obediently walk your ordinary path. Compared to him, you'll only be ridiculed. Zhu Yanjun said coldly. Many geniuses felt a blow to their confidence. However, the truth was right in front of them, and they couldn't refute it. Zhu Yanjun's words were clearly heard by the upper echelons of the Star Below God realm in the space of the artifact and the billions of gods in the stands. Zhu Yanjun was a heavenly monarch expert whose power shook the entire star field. Her evaluation of Su Fang caused Su Fang's position in everyone's hearts to instantly rise to an astonishing height, far surpassing Bai Holan's. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless gazes gathered on Su Fang. At this moment, Su Fang's body seemed to be enveloped in a dazzling halo of genius. In the stands, Ji Xingyue's eyes were filled with jealousy and resentment. That bastard Mo Fenghua actually received such an evaluation from Zhu Yanjun. He'll definitely be a huge threat to the Ji people in the future. We must find a way to kill him before he grows up. Xinjia Tianjuan's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Su Fang's supreme talent all comes from that mysterious divine spark. If I can kill him and take his divine spark, I'll definitely be able to possess his talent and step onto that peerless peak. At the top of the trial peak, many geniuses looked at Su Fang with different expressions. Some were completely convinced, while others were still unconvinced. Geniuses like Zhou Kuanga and Piercing Metal were the same. There were also people who were abnormally angry. Even if Zhu Yanjun was right and Su Fang was born to be that goshawk, and they were just a bunch of ants. This time, Su Fang, this goshawk, actually dared to instigate ants to soar into the sky. Wasn't this just digging a hole for them to die? It was simply too despicable, shameless, and sinister. This was the thought in the minds of most geniuses. Su Fang smiled helplessly and said, "I didn't do it on purpose, definitely not on purpose." This explanation immediately reminded everyone of the time when he attracted the power of the lightning tribulation and disturbed the other geniuses. Their anger was instantly ignited, and they couldn't wait to skin him alive. Bai Holan closed his eyes and didn't say a word. After being silent for a long time, Bai Holan suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the space in his artifact. I, Bai Holan, am not convinced by this method of the God-Child competition. I won't participate in the following rankings. After saying this, Bai Holan flew into the sky and left the trial peak shakily. He actually gave up on the following rankings. Everyone knew that Bai Holan's words were just to give himself a way out of this embarrassing situation. Everyone sighed in their hearts. Bai Holan's talent was peerless, and he fully deserved the title of the Star Below God realm's #1 genius. In the future, he would definitely become the realm master of a great realm, or even the realm master of a greater realm. However, in this God-Child competition, Bai Holan met a monstrous existence like Mo Fenghua. He was born at the wrong time. The heavens were so heartless. Since the star below God realm already had a peerless genius like Bai Holan, why did Mo Fenghua also appear? Bai Holan is just a hypocrite. A loss is a loss, what's there to be ashamed to admit? If I'm not as good as Mo Fenghua, don't tell me I don't need to live anymore? I, Song Jie, don't believe that I can't surpass him in the future even if I'm not as good as him now. Song Jie laughed wildly. He sat down on the mountain peak and swallowed pills to recover from his injuries. He planned to continue challenging the Thousand Illusions Mist realm after he recovered. Seeing this, the other geniuses all calmed down. After several years of calming down, there would be geniuses who would reach the God-Child monument and leave their names on it. Although Song Jie was arrogant and bloodthirsty, his talent was indeed extraordinary. In the end, he successfully condensed a mist path in the Thousand Illusions Mist realm. The height he reached was shockingly below Su Fang and above many other geniuses. The next rankings were Zhou Kuanga, Yuan Yunyu, Piercing Metal, and the others. Everyone's attention was focused on Su Fang. In their eyes, the rankings of the other geniuses were no longer that important. Kimiko Hoshino's ranking was not very different from the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce's predicted ranking before the finals of the Godchild competition. The only exception was Su Fang. Before the finals of the Godchild competition, Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce's predicted ranking was 250. It was this ridiculed idiot who not only became one of the 100 godchildren, but also took first place and became the number 1 godchild. This result was out of everyone's expectations. Even Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce did not expect it. The dust of the Kimiko Hoshino competition had finally settled. Zhu Yanjun, Qishao Shinjun, the Star Billow Realm Lord, and many other higher-ups of the Star Billow God Realm appeared at the peak of the Trial Mountain. This seat announces the ranking of this Kimiko Hoshino competition. The number 1 godchild, Mo Fenghua. Chapter 1960. Star Billow Star's number 1 godchild. Mo Fenghua has really soared to the heavens this time. From a genius from a small realm like Kuan-Su to the number 1 genius of the Star Billow Divine Realm, Yuebo Holan has suddenly become the number 1 genius of the Star Billow Divine Realm. Bai Holan actually couldn't beat Mo Fenghua. This is really unexpected. I'm afraid he won't have the face to see anyone in the future. Everyone was talking about Su Fang, and they would mention Bai Holan and feel sorry for him. Under the gazes of countless people, the Star Billow Realm Lord continued, Mo Fenghua, since you are number 1 in this godchild competition, you will lead the other Kimiko Hoshino to participate in the Star Field's godchild competition in another 10,000 years. I hope you can obtain supreme glory for the Star Billow Divine Realm at that time. Yes. Su Fang bowed and said, from today onwards, you will be the number 1 special disciple of the Star Billow Divine Realm's secret realm. Your status in the Star Billow Divine Realm is equivalent to an elder, and you will enjoy all the benefits of an elder. When the Star Billow Realm Lord said this, his right hand grabbed the air and took out a storage ring. He flipped his hand and rolled it over to Su Fang. There are 10 million pills in here, all of which are mid-rank pills. Also, there is your identity token. With this token, you can receive all the resources that belong to you. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Several gazes filled with envy and jealousy landed on Su Fang's figure. Even those peerless experts, which one of them didn't want to be the center of attention. The number 1 godchild of the Star Billow Divine Realm, identity, status, and future, who wouldn't be envious? The geniuses behind Su Fang, other than envy and jealousy, there was also a strong sense of dissatisfaction. Many people had the same thought. If Zhu Yanjun didn't change the rules at the last minute, how could the number 1 godchild fall on Su Fang's head based on true strength? What they didn't know was that the reason Zhu Yanjun changed the rules was because she witnessed the shocking scene of Su Fang killing the resurrected demon god with the lightning of destiny. If Su Fang used this supreme ability in the godchild competition, even Bai Holan wouldn't be able to escape the fate of being suppressed. In order to avoid casualties, Zhu Yanjun changed the rules of the ranking competition. Thank you, Realm Lord. Su Fang grabbed the storage ring, feeling very happy, and a strong sense of confidence welled up in his heart. The number 1 special disciple of the Star Billow God realm. This status was even more honorable than the realm master of a small realm like Kuan Su. Of course, this was only an empty title, and it did not hold much real power. Su Fang also did not plan to stay in the Star Billow God realm and fight for power with others. 10 million mid-grade pellets, this was a great reward. Su Fang was at least in the Divine Emperor realm. He didn't need to worry about cultivation resources, not to mention that he still had 10 saint pellets of fortune. The Star Billow God realm was a great realm, and the status of an elder was extraordinary. The resources that they enjoyed were naturally incomparably abundant. Su Fang had been conferred the title of the number 1 special disciple, which was equivalent to the status of an elder, so he did not need to worry about the matter of resources. Now that he had won the title of the number 1 godchild in the Star Billow God realm, his reputation would spread far and wide. This meant that he had the capital to establish himself in the universe. At the same time, he had also obtained the opportunity to participate in the Star Regions competition for the title of Godchild. How could Su Fang not be happy to receive so many benefits? At the same time, Su Fang had also proven his talent to everyone. The confidence that he had gained from this was more important than the treasures that he had obtained. There was also another great reward. Bai Ling was finally saved, and he no longer needed to worry about Qishao Shenjun seizing the prehistoric inflammation. In this godchild competition, not only had his strength increased by leaps and bounds, his status had also been completely changed, and his troubles had been easily solved. All of this had been exchanged through Su Fang's perseverance, and various dangers, as well as his talent. Su Fang secretly transmitted his voice to Qishao Shenjun with his nascent spirit, Lord Divine Sovereign, the previous agreement. Qishao Shenjun chuckled and replied, "Don't worry, since I have made a promise, I naturally will not go back on my words. I have already sent someone to release that little crane demon, and I will not covet your prehistoric inflammation even the slightest bit." Thank you, Lord Divine Sovereign. Su Fang's heart finally fell to the ground. After that, the Star Billow Realm Master finished announcing the rankings of all the Kamiko Hoshino participants. At the same time, the upper echelons of the Star Billow God Realm also gave out rewards to the other godchildren. The rewards for the other geniuses were very generous, but when compared to Su Fang, it was obviously not as good. Many geniuses couldn't help but feel envious and jealous of Su Fang. Mo Fenghua, follow me. When the Star Billow Realm Master announced the end of the Kamiko Hoshino competition, Qishao Shenjun immediately brought Su Fang to the palace he was staying in. After passing through the formation and entering the secret realm, Qishao Shenjun said, "I have already arranged for that little crane demon to stay in one of the palaces. You can take her there." Su Fang cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, Lord Divine Sovereign, for fulfilling my wish. Mo Fenghua will definitely remember this favor." Qishao Shenjun said with a smile, "Just remember that you owe me a favor. When you become famous in the Star region and rise to prominence in the myriad realms, who knows, maybe I will have a favor to ask of you. When that time comes, don't refuse. Lord Divine Sovereign is too polite. If that time really comes, if Lord Divine Sovereign has any orders, I will do my best to fulfill them." Su Fang readily agreed. Qishao Shenjun arranged for the experts under his command to bring Su Fang to one of the palaces. "Su Fang, you can be considered successful now. Even the experts of the Star region are so courteous to you." Luo's voice came from inside the time and space cave as he communicated with Su Fang. If I hadn't used the opportunity of the Kimiko Hoshino competition to display my talent, would Qishao Shinjun have treated me like this? He would have taken away my prehistoric inflammation without any hesitation. Even Sister Bai wouldn't be able to escape from the shackles. At least you didn't lose your head. If you want to stand firm in the myriad realms, both power and talent are indispensable. The Divine Child competition has given you a chance to rise. You must use this opportunity to quickly improve your strength. Only then will you have the capital to contend with the Sanskrit and Ji people. Luo, I understand. You have stood firm in the myriad realms. I should also leave your side and find a way to return to the Shura divine clan to take back my body and recover my former strength. Su Fangda was shocked. Luo, you plan to return to the Shura divine clan? How could the Blood River Lord and the others let you go? Luo said with a murderous look. I will return sooner or later and take back everything that belongs to me. Luo, it's too dangerous for you to go back now. Wait a little longer. When I become strong enough, I will accompany you back to the Shura divine clan. At that time, not only will I help you take back your body, but I will also help you get back what your clansmen owe you tenfold. Su Fang's extremely resolute tone moved Luo for a while. After a moment of silence, Luo said slowly, Su Fang, it's my good fortune to have a friend like you. Me too, Luo, Su Fang replied solemnly. In the palace, Bai Ling, who had been released from the shackles and returned to her human form, anxiously paced back and forth in the main hall. After being caught and reduced to a dancer's situation, Bai Ling fell into incomparable despair. It wasn't until Su Fang appeared a few years ago that she rekindled a glimmer of hope. However, Bai Ling knew very well that the chances of Su Fang rescuing her from the hands of a powerhouse equivalent to a great realm master were slim. This time, she was suddenly released. Not only was her shackles lifted, but she was also provided with a large number of medicinal pills for recovery. Moreover, those big shots, who used to be high and mighty, who beat and scolded at the slightest provocation, suddenly became incomparably respectful, which made Bai Ling unable to adapt. Bai Ling's first thought was Su Fang, but she immediately rejected this judgment. No matter how powerful Su Fang was, it was impossible for her to have such power. Bai Ling couldn't figure out what had happened. Instead, she became anxious. A master at the peak of the Divine Emperor realm stood respectfully to the side. Bai Ling couldn't get anything out of him. Sister Bai. A strange figure appeared at the entrance of the main hall. The familiar voice of the nascent spirit was transmitted. Bai Ling's body suddenly shook. She looked incredulously at Su Fang, who had walked into the main hall. Brother, is it really you? Although Bai Ling had seen Su Fang in Mo Fenghua's appearance, she still found it hard to believe at this time. Little Crane, who else could it be other than Su Fang? Qingyu's nascent spirit voice was also transmitted. Elder brother, it really is you. Bai Ling was surprised and overjoyed. Tears suddenly flowed out of her eyes. Sister Bai, this is not the place to talk. Let's get out of here first. Su Fang put Bai Ling into her inner world, and then quickly left the secret realm where Qishao Shinjun lived. Su Fang peeled off a young spirit and came to her inner world to meet with Bai Ling. At the same time, she also called Qingyu. The three of them had formed a deep friendship from the small world to the big world. They were even closer than family. At this time, they met again in the myriad heavens, and after Bai Ling's ordeal, they were naturally very surprised. Bai Ling also told Su Fang and Qingyu about what happened after entering the myriad heavens. It turned out that after Bai Ling became a demon saint in the big world, she was brought to a divine world in the myriad heavens by the Chaos Ring and met the Heaven Lord of Chaos. According to Bai Ling, the Heaven Lord of Chaos was also a peerless expert in a divine world. Later, because he failed to advance to a higher level, he was reincarnated into the small world to start cultivating again. The Heaven Lord of Chaos was also a peerless genius. From the small world to the big world, and then to the myriad heavens, It took less than 100 million years to recover her former strength. The Heaven Lord of Chaos left behind the inheritance in the small world only to settle the karma in the lower realm. She did not expect to receive a successor. She did not expect Bai Ling to be able to grow from a little crane demon in the small world to a demon saint, triggering the nascent spirit consciousness that the Heaven Lord of Chaos left in the Chaos Ring. After arriving in the myriad heavens, Bai Ling truly understood the power of the Heaven Lord of Chaos. After being accepted as a disciple by the Heaven Lord of Chaos, her strength increased rapidly. At this time, she already had the standard of a peak ninth heaven celestial god. 10,000 years ago, the Heaven Lord of Chaos went into seclusion to cultivate, and once again attacked a higher level. Bai Ling encountered shackles in the divine world plane where the Heaven Lord of Chaos cultivated in seclusion. She was worried about Su Fang, so she secretly left the divine world and wandered the myriad heavens. Chapter 1961. Sister Bai, you actually wandered the heavens just to find me? Su Fang was very shocked, and waves of warmth welled up in his heart. A demon god at the peak of the ninth heaven of the heavenly god realm was comparable to an ordinary lower divine emperor. However, it was limited to one divine world at most, and was not considered an expert in the heavens. The divine worlds were separated by many planes, and most of the divine worlds did not have interrealm starry gate. One had to travel through the chaotic void, and one had to experience countless dangers along the way. Not to mention divine emperors, even a great world master would not dare to travel through the chaotic void without a powerful divine weapon. How could Su Fang not be surprised that Bai Ling was so bold? Even Qing Yu was full of admiration for Bai Ling. Don't worry, I have the Chaos Ring. You still don't know, right? After I ascended to the myriad realms, the old man gave me a new Chaos Ring. It looks similar to the previous one, but its quality is much higher. As for what quality it is, the old man was very secretive and didn't tell me. Old man? The old man is naturally the Lord of Chaos. He told me to call him that. Su Fang was speechless. She actually called her master an old man. How confusing! When I came to this star field, I was very unlucky to encounter the Chaos Torrent and was heavily injured. Fortunately, I have a new Chaos Ring. Otherwise, I would have died this time. How did you fall into the hands of Qishao Shenjun? I was really unlucky this time. After I was injured, I encountered a group of bandits called Yusha. They captured me and sold me to the Tongbao Chamber of Commerce. In the end, I was bought by Qishao Shenjuan's subordinate. They actually made me transform into my true form and dance for a singer. I'm so angry. At this point, Bai Ling could not help but gnash her teeth. Su Fang also felt a pang of sorrow in his heart. From a small world to a large world, Bai Ling had never suffered such a huge loss before. This time they had coincidentally met in the Star Billow Divine Realm, so it could be said that they were extremely lucky. Sister Bai, stay by my side, and brother Qingyu. Let's rise together like we did in the small world and the great world, and finally reach the supreme peak together. If you address Senior as your brother, then wouldn't I be at a disadvantage? Qingyu smiled indifferently. The three of us are no different from brothers and sisters. Naturally, we have to address each other as brothers. Su Fang also told Bai Ling about his experiences after coming to the myriad world. Qing Yu said, Su Fang, you're now the #1 God's child of Xinglan. It's time for you to return to your true appearance. You can't keep using the identity of an idiot like Mo Fenghua. Su Fang was silent for a moment and sighed. My identity will be made public sooner or later. As for Xianlingzi, it's better to wait. Bai Ling settled down in her inner world. Su Fang gave her a large number of blood crystals to recover and strive to break through to the Divine Emperor realm as soon as possible. Su Fang's blood crystals included the arm of the Ji people's expert, Jiang, and the blood qi extracted from a large number of demon gods killed in the trial peak. They were refined with the power of the yin-yang world, which was of great help to the big goblin's cultivation. In addition, Su Fang also received a reward of 10 million mid-grade elixirs. At the same time, he also distributed them to Bai Ling, Qingyu, Fire Lizard, Sunflower Water Mermaid, and other subordinate. As for the heavenly deities that Su Fang had subdued in the Suiyu cave, he had also given them a lot of medicinal pellets and resources. Naturally, they were all overjoyed and were completely loyal to Su Fang. In the trial peak, Su Fang also used prehistoric inflammation to control many experts of the demon clan. However, they were one-time consumables. Like the powerful rune talismans, Su Fang temporarily sealed them in his inner world. They would definitely come in handy in the future. My next goal is the Star Area God's Child competition 10,000 years later. I, Su Fang, will not be limited to one God's world. Rising in the star area is my next goal. Becoming the number 1 God's Child of Xinglan allowed Su Fang to gain a firm foothold in all the worlds. However, Su Fang was very clear-headed. He hadn't obtained his title as the number 1 divine son of the star Below Star by fighting with his true strength. How could Bai Holan, Song Jie, and Piercing Metal, who had originally intended to kill him, be convinced? There would definitely be a lot of trouble coming one after another. With his current strength and identity, it would be very difficult to deal with. There was also the extremely powerful Sanskrit and Ji people. Su Fang relied on the Hunyuan Golden List, which even he didn't know the details of, as well as Infinite Life and Mo Tiangong, to deter these 2 god clans. Just being the number 1 God's Child of Xinglan was obviously far from enough. If he couldn't show his talent in the upcoming Star Area God's Child competition and lose the attention of Infinite Life and Mo Tiangong, the Fan and Ji clans would pounce on Su Fang without hesitation and swallow him whole. There was also the mysterious assassin organization, the Soulless. Su Fang had to be on guard at all times. Bai Ling had already been found. There was also another person that Su Fang was worried about, and that was Fairy Xuanxin. Su Fang had asked Jiang Baozhen to inquire about the ancient Divine Phoenix clan and the Lord of Chaos, but there had been no response so far. There are still dangers everywhere. The slightest carelessness will lead to the tragic fate of having one's soul destroyed. Strength is always the way to go. Su Fang took a deep breath and dispelled the impatience in his heart. He returned to the mountain where Kuan Su's divine sect resided. Just as he was about to enter the mountain, 2 Star Below God Realm experts flew toward Su Fang. These 2 Star Below God Realm experts were middle-aged and looked somewhat similar. Their cultivation had reached the level of a high-level God Emperor like Kuan Su, and their status in the Star Below God realm was very high. At the very least, they were the elders of the Star Below God realm. One of the experts, who looked slightly older, cupped his fists at Su Fang and said, "I am Quan Lin, and this is my brother Quan Jun. We have been ordered by the Realm Lord to protect you before the Star Area God's Child competition begins." 2 high-level God Emperors, whose strength is equivalent to the Realm Lord of a small realm, to protect me? Su Fang was not surprised. The God-Child status is extraordinary. In the future, the Star Area God's Child competition will depend on the God-Child to show the Star Below God realm's might. It is because of this that the Realm Lord has made such arrangements. When he said this, Quan Lin lowered his voice and continued, "In the mountain where the God-Child resided, Manager Ruanyu suddenly died in a bizarre manner during the God-Child competition. The Realm Lord suspects that experts from other forces have snuck in, so he has to be careful." Died in a bizarre manner? Su Fang raised his eyebrows. It is very strange. Ruanyu seemed to have committed suicide, but her heart was missing. This situation is very similar to the mysterious assassin organization, no gods that appeared in other god realms before. Quan Lin's words shocked Su Fangda. Night Demon. Su Fang's first thought was Night Demon, and he could not help but feel a chill run down his spine. Quan Lin said, Clearly, someone wants to harm the godchild and the star below God realm. Therefore, the realm lord must take precautions. It doesn't matter if no gods is a force formed by night demon or not. Since they dared to attack me, they will be uprooted sooner or later. Also, I must find the person who bought no gods. Su Fong sneered in his heart. Quan Lin continued, the realm lord plans to find a new palace for the godchild to live in. It is better not to return to your current residence. Su Fong asked in surprise, why is that? Quan Lin smiled and said, Godchild has become the #1 godchild of the star below God realm, and countless people have come to visit. Right now, the front of the cave is full of people. Many of them are the upper echelons of the star below God realm and the leaders of various forces. They have brought their women to marry the godchild. Su Fong could not help but be dumbfounded. Su Fong felt a dull pain in his head. He hurriedly turned to leave, but at this time, a rune talisman in his storage ring suddenly vibrated. It was Jiang Baozhen. Brother Mo, the matter you asked Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce to investigate has taken shape. Where is Brother Mo? Is there any progress? Su Fong was pleasantly surprised. Bai Ling had already gathered, so there was no need for him to inquire about the heavenly monarch of chaos. However, the Divine Phoenix clan was related to Fairy Xuanxin, so Su Fong would not let go of any information. After agreeing to meet Jiang Baozhen at Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce, Su Fong sent a message to Xian Lingzi with his nascent soul and asked him to deal with the endless stream of guests. Su Fong left the star below God realm's secret realm. Quan Lin and Quan Jun, the two great experts, followed Su Fong like shadows. With the protection of these two great experts, he could sit back and relax in the star below God realm. Even if a great realm master attacked, Su Fong could easily escape with the sky-piercing rainbow shuttle as long as the two great experts blocked him for a moment. The star below God realm's Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce was located in the most prosperous area in the central region of the divine capital. It was like a city within a city. Outside Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce was a street market made up of countless shops and pavilions. Because flying was prohibited, all gods could only walk. The streets were full of people and carriages. This was Su Fong's first time seeing the cultivation civilization of the myriad realms. He was like a country bumpkin entering a city. His eyes were overwhelmed. The Quan brothers were elders and experts in the star below God realm. They held high positions, but they were actually sent here as bodyguards. Naturally, they did not feel good. Seeing Su Fong's expression, the two brothers couldn't help but feel disdain. He's a country bumpkin from a small realm after all. How ignorant! The entrance of a shop not far from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce was filled with people. No one knew what was going on. You dare to ask for 1,000,000 divine jades for a mid-grade divine artifact? Do you think I'm a fool who doesn't know what's good for me? I'll reward you with 100,000 divine jades. I'll take the divine artifact. Piercing Metal's domineering voice came from the crowd. A humble voice sounded. Lord Godchild, I exchanged my life for this divine artifact. I want to sell it to save my son's life. I won't sell it for less. Piercing Metal shouted domineeringly, Your son's lowly life is not worth 1,000,000 divine jades. Since you're so pitiful, I'll give you 200,000 divine jades. If you continue to push your luck, I'll have the enforcers arrest you and throw you in jail. Su Fong was planning to head directly to Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce, but when he heard that humble voice, his eyebrows rose and his eyes revealed surprise. Chapter 1962. Amidst the crowd, a burly and mighty middle-aged man with a face full of vicissitudes appeared. He wore a mercenary outfit commonly seen in the star below God world, but his clothes were stained with blood. Venerable Tyrant Blood. This middle-aged man was none other than Venerable Tyrant Blood, who had ascended to the myriad worlds with Su Fong. Su Fong had ascended with Ancestor Grand Star, Old Immortal Yao He, and Venerable Tyrant Blood. Ancestor Grandstar had already been killed by Su Fang, and old Immortal Yao, he had also fallen. Only Venerable Tyrant Blood was left. He hadn't expected to meet Venerable Tyrant Blood here. Currently, Venerable Tyrant Blood was only a second heavenly layer true god. He no longer had the domineering aura of a peerless expert from the ancient immortal demon battlefield. Instead, he looked dispirited and lonely. It was obvious that he had been living a miserable life after ascending. Beside Venerable Tyrant Blood stood a woman. She was beautiful, but her face was pale and filled with fear. She held a 3- or 4-year-old child in her arms. His face was black, and it was unknown what kind of strange poison he had been poisoned with. Venerable Tyrant Blood held a flying sword in his hand. It was a very good mid-grade divine artifact. Although it was a good flying sword, Venerable Tyrant Blood's asking price of 1 million divine jades was clearly a bit too high. However, it was still a mid-grade divine artifact, and the lowest price was 500,000 divine jade. Piercing metal was a bit overbearing for only 200,000. Besides piercing metal, Bai Shen was also by his side. At the beginning of the finals, Bai Shen had arrogantly wanted to kill Su Fang. In the end, he had almost lost his life and lost the chance to become Kamiko Hoshino. A law enforcer from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce parted the crowd and coldly shouted at Venerable Tyrant Blood, "Young Master Piercing Metal has taken a fancy to your divine artifact. It's your honor, but you deliberately raised the price. Don't you even put young Master Jean in your eyes? I think you're a bandit in disguise. You've infiltrated the market and are plotting something. Come with me." The law enforcer reached out and grabbed the flying sword. Then, he casually sent out an aura that bombarded Venerable Tyrant Blood's chest, causing him to stagger back. A trace of blood leaked from the corner of his mouth. Another 3 law enforcers from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce stepped forward to shackle Venerable Tyrant Blood. I can testify for this person. He is definitely not a bandit. Moreover, I've also taken a fancy to the divine artifact in his hand. I'm willing to buy it for 2 million divine jade. Why aren't you letting him go? Su Fang released an invisible divine power, and the crowd automatically parted to form a path. Su Fangda swaggered to the center of the crowd. Mo Fenghua. Piercing Metal's sword-like eyebrows twitched as a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. Bai Shen's eyes were filled with hatred and resentment. Mo Fenghua? He Xinglan's #1 divine son, Mo Fenghua. The crowd burst into exclamations and looked at Su Fang with eyes full of awe and shock. When Venerable Tyrant Blood saw that his savior had arrived, and that it was Mo Fenghua, who had just become Xinglan's #1 divine child, he was instantly overjoyed. Mo Fenghua, are you deliberately going against this godchild? Piercing Metal shouted angrily. Go against you? Are you worthy? I'm the #1 divine son. What's your rank? How dare you be so impudent in front of me? Su Fang revealed a towering domineering aura as he glanced at Piercing Metal with disdain. At the beginning of the Divine Sun competition, Bai Shen and Piercing Metal had tried to kill Su Fang. Su Fang had always remembered this debt. With Su Fang's personality, he would not only go against him. As long as he had the chance, he would not hesitate to kill him. There was also Bai Shen. Su Fang would definitely not let him go. Buzz buzz buzz, the purple cloud Dharma spirit suddenly trembled in his body. Su Fang was not surprised. Divine light wrapped around the Dharma enforcer's flying sword, and a bright light flashed in his eyes. Piercing Metal suppressed his anger and said coldly to the Dharma enforcer from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce, "This is Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce's territory. Do as you see fit. If you can't satisfy this divine son, it will be difficult to explain to my uncle." So Piercing Metal's uncle was a manager of Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. No wonder he dared to be so domineering here. Divine Son Mo Fenghua, don't you think you should take a step back? The Dharma enforcer from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce smiled awkwardly at Su Fang. Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce was indeed a powerful force throughout the universe. They did not even give face to Su Fang, the #1 divine son of Xinglan. The Quan brothers stood at the back of the crowd. They had no intention of stepping forward. They were ordered to protect Su Fang, but they would not stand up for Su Fang for everything. Furthermore, this involved piercing metal, so they would not interfere. Bai Shun sneered proudly. Mo Fenghua, your status as a divine son is useless in front of Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. Get lost. You want me to take a step back? I don't have the habit of taking a step back. Su Fang snorted and took out a divine jade Tong Bao. It was not an ordinary divine jade Tong Bao, but a purple jade in the shape of a copper coin. It contained a naturally formed heavenly scar. This purple jade was the one Jiang Baozhen gave Su Fang back in the Suiyu cave. With this purple jade, Su Fang would be treated as a VIP in Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. Purple scar divine jade. The expression of the Dharma enforcer from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce changed instantly. A VIP who possessed a purple scar divine jade would be treated as a VIP not only in the Star Billow divine realm, but also in the entire universe as long as it was within Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce's sphere of influence. Piercing Metal's uncle had an extraordinary position in Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce, but he was only a manager. Offending a VIP who possessed a purple scar divine jade was the end of his career. Su Fang snorted coldly. When I see Jiang Baozhen later, I want to ask him why a Dharma enforcer from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce would chase away a VIP who possesses a purple scar divine jade. What is the reason for this? What kind of person is Lord Godchild? Why would you lower yourself to the level of a blind fool like me? The Dharma enforcer's face was filled with flattering smiles as he respectfully handed the flying sword to Su Fang. Then, he said to Piercing Metal, Young Master Metal, I have no choice but to ask you to take a step back. Piercing Metal was furious that Su Fang had humiliated him in front of everyone. He even felt a burning sensation in his heart. However, he still held on and sneered. 2 million divine jades to buy a mid-rank flying sword. Since you, Mo Fenghua, are willing to be a sucker, this godchild will fulfill your wish. Bai Shin said, Kuan Su is a lowly ant from the god realm. What has he seen of the world? If he is willing to be a sucker, then let him go. Venerable Tyrant Blood hurriedly said, Lord Godchild, this treasure is not worth 2 million divine jades. You can take it away for 500,000 divine jade. Mid-rank flying sword? Su Fang chuckled. Piercing Metal, this mercenary is a true immortal, but he can't see through this flying sword. You, a deity emperor, actually treat this treasure as trash. You really have eyes but can't see. Piercing Metal snorted at Su Fang's words. This godchild has long seen that this mid-rank flying sword is extraordinary. If you say it's some kind of treasure, then it's really a big joke. Bai Shin also mocked and ridiculed. If it's worth 2 million divine jades, this young master will dig out his eyeballs. It's a deal. If you go back on your word, I'll dig out your eyeballs for you. Su Fang smiled coldly, then activated the flying sword in his hand. At the same time, he poured a mysterious purple energy into the flying sword. In a split second, complex heavenly marks appeared on the sword's body. An ancient, sharp aura exploded from the flying sword, and a surge of sword energy soared into the sky. Within the sword energy there was an ancient, domineering aura, as if it was the sword of a king. As soon as the sword energy appeared, the flying swords in the surrounding gods' bodies trembled. They uncontrollably emerged from their bodies, and the tips of their swords pointed at Su Fang's flying sword as if they were paying respects to a king. How could a mid-rank divine artifact possess such an aura? Peak Supreme Rank. Moreover, it was a peak Supreme Rank ancient treasure. It was not an exaggeration to call it a treasure. Its value was so high that even 10 million divine jades would not be able to buy it, let alone 2 million divine jade. One could only be lucky enough to see it at the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce's large-scale auctions. It was clear that this flying sword was an ownerless item. When its owner died, the artifact spirit sealed itself as well. In addition, it was a peak supreme rank ancient treasure. Not to mention ordinary gods, even experts like the realm lords of small realms would find it difficult to find clues. And Su Fong had the purple aura spirit. Not only did he easily find out that this flying sword was extraordinary, but he also used the purple aura spirit to awaken the artifact spirit and activate a small part of its power. It was as easy as flipping his hand. Everyone stared at the flying sword in Su Fong's hand, dumbfounded. Even venerable Tyrant Blood was dumbfounded. He never thought that the flying sword he planned to sell at the price of a mid-rank divine artifact would be a peerless treasure. Quan Lin and Quan Jun, who were at the back of the crowd, looked at Su Fong in shock. Not only were they shocked by Su Fong's ability to identify treasures, but they were also shocked by Su Fong's ability to control treasures. He had just obtained a peak supreme rank divine artifact, but he was able to activate it without fusing with it. Although it was an extremely small part of its power, it was still a shocking thing. The Quan brothers asked themselves, and they definitely could not do it. Not only them, even the great elders of the Star Billow God realm might not be able to do it. Just based on his ability to control treasures, Mo Fenghua is fully deserving of being the number one godchild of the Star Billow God realm. The Quan brothers were incomparably shocked. The contempt they had for Su Fong just now instantly disappeared. Piercing Metal and Stone was shocked, and his intestines were green with regret. If he had known this would happen, he would have spent $1 million to buy this flying sword. Then, he wouldn't have been slapped in the face by Su Fong in front of everyone. In the end, he even let Su Fong get a huge bargain. Humph, consider yourself lucky. Piercing Metal snorted with a gloomy face and turned to leave. Bai Shen glared fiercely at Su Fong before following him. Suddenly Su Fong's cold voice came from behind. Bai Shen, are you going back on your word? It won't be too late to dig out your eyeballs before leaving. He's actually going to dig out Bai Shen's eyeballs. Everyone sucked in a cold breath.